Squeeze. I pressed the button. Shit.
Nice.
Oh
Hello,
shit.
everyone.
The wrong
I'm
thing.
Brianna, and I
nice.
dishonored Squeeze laptop.
Hi everybody. Welcome to the stream. Just going to tweet out. Squee will be joining us in about 20 to 30 minutes or so. He is away from his he can't get to his computer until then. So but he's here and we're gonna get going as soon as I tweet. As per usual. So we left on a bit of a cliffhanger last week thanks to internet, but we're going to get back into it here real soon. While I'm fiddling around with Twitter and all that good stuff, any questions? Any questions from the players?
Where's my experience?
You get one quarter experience for last week, and yeah, you'll get it soon enough. Any questions I care about? Okay, we'll take your silence as a no.
I was thinking. I don't know.
You're thinking? Okay,
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I think I mostly remember.
All right. To be honest, I'm slightly out of it. Can you do a small recap for me?
Well, okay. The small recap is this. The goal, the current goal is for the players to hunt down a statue called the Golden Rabbit. And in order to do so, you have to find 7 other statues that will point as clues towards the location of this Golden Rabbit statue. You already, thanks to your new companion, friend, ally, dude, Frank Patterson, you're already in possession of 2 of the statues, and you know that one of the statues, that of a bull, is in a museum called the Antiquarian. Visiting the Antiquarian, you talked with the manager, the floor manager, a man named Hugo Montoya, about doing a tour. You hired him for a personal, kind of like a business tour after hours, which you got the impression he was doing so without informing the owners or the curators or really much of the staff. He was going to take the money that you were going to do for a donation and pretty much pocket it and give you a personal tour of the museum. Ellie thought that since you'd be dealing with items that you're not too familiar with, who would know but the resident recluse, Frank Patterson. You spent some time convincing him to leave his home, in which he's been a shut-in for years, to assist in this. And he's agreed, as long as you provide him protection, because he's going to be taking one of the great magical objects known as the transmundane that pierces the black and white atmosphere of this world, of this dimension. Pretty much, and last session was the NPCs were going to meet you at the Antiquarian, the museum, and you were coming to pick Frank Patterson up. And when we reached the door is when I reached our connection issues. The only other thing that you missed is that you as players you as characters were wondering how people see DBs, such as the feline, a mutant, as Blink and Bear and Ezex, and you hired, due to some poor skill rolls, you accidentally hired a pornographer to who was going to sketch Blink. He did eventually, but with her clothes on. And sure enough, what he sees and everyone else sees is sure enough a mutant feline. But for some reason, the folks, everyone that you've interacted with, have not acted like that was something overtly strange or amazing or bizarre. And you've also haven't seen any other non-humans in this city, in Velda City, or anywhere else in this dimension just yet either. So intrigue continued to be piqued in regards to that. There. Sufficiently caught up, my friends?
I know I am.
Yeah, I am now. I guess I forgot that I wasn't here last session. So I was like,
It was
what
only a 1-hour session.
I was like, what the fuck is Inferno talking? I would remember if there's a pornographer sketching out Blink.
But it was a 1930s pornographer, so it was still like he called them cupcake photos. So like bathing suit and lingerie type of thing.
You know,
just ankles and bare shoulders and wrists and shit like that.
I don't want to digress too much, but this reminds me. My grandmother had 7 children, and if they were naughty, she'd give them the naughty cup, and on one side it was just like a picture of a lady, but when you drank everything, you could see it on the other side, and the person was naked. You drink the naughty from the.
To be punishment.
Yeah.
Back in those days, naked women were terrifying, don't you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Ah! Anyway, with that, so you folks, the NPCs are going to meet you over at the antiquarian. So you drive up to Patterson's residence, and you do notice what appears to be, a large piece of, well, 2 large pieces of this thick construction wood that is covering the front door. You last time you visited to convince him the night before, Patterson directed you to his back door, his back patio door. I think it's fair enough to say that you guys would go to meet him around the back of his building. Is that a fair assumption?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, great, good stuff. And so sure enough, your little group gets together, and sure enough, knocks several times on the back door, and you see Frank Patterson still dressed up in with the haircut and the clothes that Ellie kind of befashioned him the night before.
The hipster look.
You see him kind of peeking. Mm-hmm.
I just said the hipster look.
Yeah. The Dimensions first hipster. Yep. And you see him kind of nervously poking out the window, his head out the window, and sure enough, he scurries over to the back door. He opens up the main wooden door, but he's looking at you through that kind of mesh fencing, and his eyes are looking left and right. And you can, when he speaks, you can smell the scotch on his breath as he says, "You've come? Is it?" And he looks again nervously. "Time to leave?"
Yeah. What have you been up to?
Oh, just mostly getting up my resolve to leave my castle, and he says as he clutches right by his heart, "wrapping up the transmundane so it's safe for travel. You don't see any of the special light, do you?" He does a little turnaround, and you can't see anything emitting from his clothes or his body or anything like that. Looks like he's sufficiently blocked out the eerie red light from this object that he's carrying.
No, it looks good. Are you ready to? Okay. Hey, how you doing? Let's take some deep breaths.
I'm worried.
Why are you?
Okay.
Worried? It's gonna be great. Okay.
7 deep breaths. 7 deep breaths. Okay.
Right.
And he sure enough takes 7 big deep breaths, and you can see him like very nervously like open up the mesh door, and he's looking at his front stoop like it's a pit that's gonna swallow him up. You see, he takes out 1 foot very nervously, and he looks to all of you for encouragement. What kind of look do you give back to him?
Elia is holding out her hand.
Okay.
Anybody?
Oh,
Patrick is confused, so he has kind of a cold, sort of steely emotion at the moment.
Oh, good.
Mm.
Anyone else? Anything else? No?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, I'm shaking his head a little bit, I guess.
Fair enough. As he kind of like shakily reaches out for Ellie's hand, and he purses his lips, and then like he literally like closes his eyes as he steps forward. As he steps forward, you see him wobble a little bit, but he's managed to regain his footing. As he takes another step, and he looks around, and he looks up to the sky, and it's about 4:30 in the late afternoon, so the light's starting to die down just a little bit. As he kind of looks around, and he says, "So, how are we going to are we going to be walking there, or are we going to be taking some sort of automotive conveyance?"
Are we walking? Or are we going with people? I don't.
Well, you drove
have a
here,
car.
so you're gonna assume
Okay.
you drove.
Okay, I couldn't
A
remember.
car.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't been in a car in a very, very long time. Okay. Is it all right, my dear, if I just kind of keep you as a steady foot until I get my bearings? He looks over to Ellie.
Yeah.
Good. And you're tall, you're sturdy. He says as he looks over to Lavin. Come over here.
Okay.
All
come
right,
over there.
And he like hooks a hand like right onto your shoulder. His fingers like digging into your shoulder, but not super hard. He's an older man, and he's not trying to tear you down. He's just using you for steadiness. And sure enough, in between the petite Ellie and the tall Lavin, he crookedly steadies himself. And I'm assuming you lead him over to your car, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Opening up the door for him, he like once again takes like a long hesitation, and he says, wait, just one moment. And before he gets in the car, he looks far down the street to his left. He looks far down the street to his right. And with the exception of one car that rolls on by, which he like stops like an alert like dog, and he like tracks the entire car as it comes in and out of sight. And he says, "Okay, it's safe." And then he bundles himself into the back seat, but he doesn't sit on it like a regular human being. What he does is that he doesn't put his feet on the floor. He curls up on the seat itself, like he lays along the entire back seat, which might be a problem since you all got here in this car, and if he's going to spray out in the back like that, there's not going to be a room for all of you.
Says you. Ellie sits on top of him.
He gives a okay, says you, God. Do you sit like on his feet or on his head or on his like chest?
She'll probably. I mean, how many people were in the back of the vehicle? I imagine
3.
she'd be like, okay, yeah, she'd be in the middle because she's the tiniest.
Okay. So you sit like by where his hips are, and he goes, he says, "What are you doing? I'm in here."
No, we gotta. You want to be incognito, right?
Yes.
Well, this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna act like how we did it before. Saddle on it, in, guys. Come on in. It's not a long drive. You'll be fine.
Okay, just make sure they don't see me.
Yeah, you're good. Promise.
All right. So who's driving? Who's in the passenger seat? And who else is going to sit on top of Frank?
I'll be in the passenger seat.
Okay.
Well,
Either me or Patrick are driving, right?
Yep.
yeah. And I'm smaller than you. I'm almost positive about that, so I'm going in the back.
All right, I'll drive.
We'll have the tiny elf man.
Yeah, he'll be in the back too. Okay,
Yeah.
so with some slight discomfort and with Frank Patterson telling you to like shift left, shift right, you pile in on top of him. You get in the vehicle, and you might make the ride into the city towards the antiquarian, closer to the downtown area. Um, Lavin's driving. Lavin, go ahead and give me a piloting check for your automobile. I just want to see how many bumps you hit and how roughed up Frank's going to be at the end of the journey. Unless you want to purposely go for bumps.
No, I don't need to purposely mess up because I'll just roll mediocre.
Okay, all right. So you failed a bit. You failed a bit by 6. Okay. So you hit a couple bumps, and you hear a couple yips and yowls from Frank Patterson in the back seat. But sure enough, you pearl in. That's not even a word. You park at the antiquarian. Now, it's been a few weeks, so I will kind of refresh you that the floor manager, Hugo Montoyas, suggested, or actually requested, that you not park in front of the street, in front of the museum itself, to use the employee parking around the back. There's a alley nearby. You drive down the alley. You park in a parking lot behind the building, and he would meet you in the rear entrance to kind of give you a behind-the-scenes tour as well. So do you follow those instructions, Lavin, or do you just say screw it and park at the front of the building?
No, I'll do what he says.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Patrick, I see you're typing there. What's up? Oh, would it be something 11 will roll the 100 and murdered him? Yes! Can you? All that work for Frank Patterson and Ellie's ass snaps his neck?
Oops.
Well, wouldn't she now be
Frank, are you okay?
Wouldn't she now be an assassin?
Oh.
Hey, that's it. We're done. That's the joke we're ending.
All
on.
right,
So
see ya. I'm
everybody-
gonna stop the stream here. Goodbye.
Got by with a chubby chin, dynamite with a laser beam.
Good night, everybody.
That's actually
Okay.
my theme song.
There you go. All right. So, Lavin brings just before 5 o'clock. Lavin parks the vehicle in the back parking area, and sure enough, also there, parked in your other vehicle, is the rest of your ragtag group, with the exception of Ezex, because actually Ezex and Basilisk, because they asked if they had to come, and you said no. So, it Alicia, Yasmin, Jalea, Bear, McLaughlin, Marlis, August. Okay, they took 2 cars.
Well, I think only some of us went to go get the guy, and then we were all going to meet at the museum, if I remember correctly.
That is correct. That is correct. So
Excuse my terrible name.
No.
Remember the guy.
No, there's a lot of NPCs that we're juggling here, but the rest of your companions, with the exception of Basilisk and Ezex, have also arrived here. You get together, and as you get out of your vehicle, Frank Patterson emerges from the back seat, a little scuffed up. His hair's a little out of place, and looks like his pants tore a little bit along the knee during one of those bumps. Otherwise, he's fine. He peeks his eyes out from like the edge of the car before unemerging, and he looks very carefully and skeptically to your friends who are by the other vehicles. He looks to Ellie and Lavin and Tom and Patrick and Al, and he says, "Oh, are they with you or no?"
No, this is all a part of the charade. Did we go over how we're doing this exactly? Like this is supposed to be like a work field trip for educational purposes. So you're one of my employees or my uncle. I was just gonna say you're my uncle. You kind of look like me.
Oh, Oh, he kind of scrunches up his nose a little bit when you say that, but he says, "Oh, I see, a ruse, a work tour of a museum. Do they do that now?"
I guess. Elisa's like looking
Okay.
around.
Patrick shaking his head
Interesting.
no.
Might be a little bit under the table.
Oh,
We don't know
oh,
for
I
sure, but we have some hunches.
Okay. Well, okay. So the ruse is I am your uncle, and you're doing a work tour of the. And he looks at the building and makes like audible gagging noises before he finishes antiquarian. Ugh. Ugh.
Would
Oh,
it be easier for you if we told them that you don't speak English?
no, I'm going to want to communicate with you. So unless, oh, wait, do you know Swahili subsection dialect 3?
Absolutely not.
Then we'll have to stick with English. Swahili are fantastic folks. I picked up their language quite some years ago. Wait, he says as he freezes for a moment. His eyes look over to Lavin, and they look over to Patrick, and they look over to Tom, and he says, "Please tell me you brought more liquid courage."
Ellie looks at Lavin.
I'm going to assume that Lavin has some sort of Mickey or something of something.
Yeah. There'd be
in
plenty of
his
Mickeys
coat
around
pocket.
in this time period. Yes.
Plus, we work in a bar, so so yes,
Exactly.
Lavin will offer
Brought a beer.
some, as long as he doesn't start chugging it.
Yeah. He'll just take. Frank Patterson might be a deranged man, but he's not rude. He'll just take one pull of it, we'll say, and hand it back to you. He says, "Oh, good, good lad. You're a good lad. Oh, what a snake pit this is!" He says loudly as it echoes throughout the alleyway, the parking lot, and almost on cue. Sure enough, the back door, there's like a large metal door that is led up by a couple sets of concrete steps, and then there appears to be almost like a loading bay with this large rolling metal door. And it's this loading bay door that slowly opens up, and you can see hoisting on the chain to open up the door is the floor manager of the antiquarian, Hugo Montoyas. He's dressed in his fine suit, his pencil mustache, his slick back hair, similar to when you saw him the day previous. He has a different colored tie and different colored slacks, but otherwise it's the exact same gentleman. He gives a wide smile and a bold greeting voice. He goes, our new purveyors, are you all set for your behind-the-scenes VIP tour?
Yes.
Frank eeps and kind of hides behind the crowd a little bit, trying his best to be incognito, but he's not doing a great job.
Do we need name tags or anything?
No, not at all. He says that I'm just assumed. We can do proper introductions, and he gives a thin smile over to the rest of the group. He says, "For those of you who do not know me, my name is Hugo Montoyas, and I am the floor manager of this group. The Mackenzie family, Mr. Angus and Rose Mackenzie, are the owners of this fine establishment, but they look to me to assist in the daily running. I used to be one of the tour guides here many years ago when this first founded. So don't you worry, I'm qualified to take you through our fantastic exhibits that we have. Do we have any questions before we begin?"
Yes. May I take my camera?
"Oh, certainly," he says, although, well, he pauses for a moment. "First of all, I the tour will have to be going at a relatively good pace, so we might not be able to wait the 5 minutes or so each time you want to take a photograph. In addition, he says, there are going to be a few exhibits where we would really rather that no pictures be taken, you understand. Most of our items in the local legends are more than fine, but many of our Great War exhibits that are just coming in are, for lack of a better word, exclusive, and we don't want photos of that to get out before our displays are ready.
Patrick nods. And grabs his camera.
Okay. Patrick, your camera has become a behemoth of itself. A large tripod, a almost exaggerated flash mechanism, and the very long and accordion-like camera itself. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you're strong enough to haul it all, but this is not the simple compact digital camera you entered this dimension with.
Right.
Interestingly enough, you do know how to operate it still. It's like, imagine if I don't know. Imagine if your computer that you're using right now, my friends, has turned into something that's the size of a room and is operated by cranks and levers and giant pulleys and all that other crap. You know how to operate it. It's just really large and clunky. So that's pretty much what's going on there. And actually, we're going to say Marlis Stotch will kind of be your assistant camera person. So if you need him to hold anything or to help you with anything like that, he'll be at your side helping you out there, Patrick.
Okay.
Groovy. He looks around to see if there's any other questions.
Yes. When will we see the volcanoes?
Well, that's an excellent question, he says. I was about to ask you. We have our two main exhibits, the volcano exhibit and the local legends, and I can also give you a bit of a sneak peek of our Great War exhibit. Frankly, we'll be just starting on one end of the museum and working to the next, so it's up to you where you want to start. Where would you like to start? Our secondary exhibit on volcanoes or our local legends, our Velda City legend exhibit?
Ellie is slow, like she has a very thin smile and she looks at the rest of the group, and if they don't say anything, she'll go, we would like to start with the volcanoes.
Lavin's like, Velda City has legends? You did say Velda City legends, right?
You most certainly did, he said. Everything from the not founding tribe, but everything from the Native American tribe that that populated this area before the settlers originally came, to local criminal legends. In addition, musicians, artists, and he says even a small dinosaur that was excavated not but 3 miles from the city.
How far back in time are we talking about when you say local criminal legends?
Oh, anything from what happened approximately 5 years ago, in the time of the time in which Congress passed prohibition. We had some unsavory characters, all the way to 300, 400, 500 years ago. Well, if you want to count the dinosaur, then we're talking more along tens, if not hundreds of thousands of years.
GM, do I know what a dinosaur is?
No. Nobody, except for maybe Patrick, would know what a dinosaur is.
Ellie will raise her hand.
Yes.
What the Sam hell is a dinosaur?
It's 10,000 years ago. Who cares?
I'm curious.
He says, well, for lack of a better word, a dinosaur means great lizard, in which you hear some scoffing in the back from Frank Patterson. It says, they were creatures that used to roam the earth before man was on the planet. and
Get
they
out.
ranged. Yes, he says. Quite pleased that he's already amazed someone just in the museum parking lot before even entering the building itself. He says, yes. There are some museums that are completely dedicated to the excavation and display of these great land beasts, but we only have the one for now.
GM, I'm sorry, this is a super vague remembrance, but wasn't there one time where we went into like some sort of like show where I think we first met the half cyborg man, where at the end there was like some sort of creature or something like that. Was that a dinosaur or like
I seem to remember that as well.
I don't, so I'm
Like it
feeling
was
character.
tiny. About the size of a cat.
Maybe.
How dare you remember not 300, 400 some odd episodes?
Give me 2 seconds. Give me
Are you
just 2
gonna
seconds.
are you gonna look at the video that happened?
No, I'm gonna look at my notes. I keep all my notes.
Inferno's gonna need an index for
fuck.
his notes at this rate.
Yeah, like a
Look under
library.
D.
Yeah.
I have it.
Dinosaur.
Whistling Revenge, The Hidden Temple, Kidnapping of Tom. Here we go. Deal with the Lizard Mage. At least I named all this shit. Oh wait, no. Then I started doing by date. Fuck.
Yep.
Counter outline for
Oh.
March.
Son of a bitch.
That doesn't help. I'm going. See, now that you say that, that sounds really fucking familiar. Oh wait, I'm right on here. James T.
Kirk.
Cheese robot. All right, James T. Oh God, fucking Piff used to call him Kirk. I'm like, please don't call him Kirk. His name is James T. I was very upset.
It was hard not.
You named a guy James T. What do you expect?
I didn't actually name him that way. The man said it was a T-Rex and grew up really big. Patrick figured out it was as big as it was gonna get. Oh my God, Squee!
Jeez, Squee.
In the other thing,
Squee's
yeah.
just like, I really fucking love T-Rexes.
Oh, it just remembered him. It just remembered. Wow, I'm the best at words.
Are you having a
okay,
stroke?
Yeah.
I didn't know you
gotta
like
be
it.
Fast. Fast. Face. A.
No,
S.
like-
S.
What?
Smile. T. Time.
Okay, stop pretending to have a stroke. Squee is 100% correct.
Squee just
And
said
he also
dot,
loves
dot, dot. I love dinosaurs.
Yeah.
For the chat, you can't see
I
that.
hope you can get on call here soon there, Squee Pants.
Yeah, I'm
But-
sorry I dishonored your stupid microphone. That was awful.
Yeah, we're a little hard, but that's okay.
I mean,
I would just, yeah, this is like 400 sessions. Something's gonna get lost in the mix somewhere.
Thank you. Okay. So correction. All of you, with the exception of Lavin, because he wasn't there for that encounter, and I don't think in your character history when you were a fucking headhunter you
No.
like tracked
No
down
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs, right? Yeah,
No.
no dinosaurs. So Lavin, and we're going to send Ellie because it was a different personality at the time. She forgot. Any other reason she wants. Works
Hell
for
yeah.
you? So okay, my mistake then. Al and Tom and Patrick did remember, and my apologies for forgetting.
how dare you?
But I think you guys are gonna let that slide.
Yeah.
Anywho,
I'm gonna forget about this scenario.
but yes. The answers should. Any other questions for Mr. Hugo Montoyes before you enter the antiquarian?
No.
9? No?
Oh.
Okay. So he takes you to the back loading area in which you see a simple boxy truck sitting there idle. The keys aren't in the ignition. It's turned off completely. He takes you up a ramp, and much of the group files on. Those of you closest to Frank Patterson, though, notices that he takes a moment to step to one side, and when he's out of sight of Hugo Montoya as he's leading the bulk of the group up the stairs into the loading bay area, he stops at the corner of the building and unzips his pants, turns around from anyone who might be in his line of sight, and you can see a trail of urine originating from him and falling on the building itself. Frank Patterson is literally pissing on the antiquarian right now, in which you see him giving a few ruffled hums before shaking himself off, re-zipping himself, and joining back with the rest of the group.
Are we
during
still on the
this
outside here?
Well, you were on the outside. You were moving on the inside, but Frank Patterson kind of hung around the outside to relieve himself on the building before joining with the group on the inside.
Okay, as long as he's pissing on the outside, I'm fine with that. That's cool.
Are Lavin and Ellie still helping him up?
Well,
I'm not touching him. No way.
No,
hands off at this point, man.
He can stand on his own feet now. Ever since he emerged from the car.
Okay.
So,
but
yeah, he joins with the other group. If no one wants to say or do anything from what they might have seen, that's good, and we can just continue on.
Ellie will go gross, and then just like that'll be it.
He says, "I don't know what that means, but this is a detestable place." And then you can see Hugo Montoya stop for a moment, and he kind of turns around, kind of looking around at the group who might have said something like that, and he kind of shrugs, and you can see his eyes waver a little bit, but he puts back on his
harshly elbows Patterson and whispers to him, "Ruse, dude.
Ruse. Oh yes, uncle. Niece. He says a little too loudly. Hey. Guide me, niece. He says.
We're gonna look at volcanoes.
He says, he kind of gives a, okay, like, who cares about volcanoes voice? But sure enough, Hugo Montoya, if you can see the little red arrow on the map here, takes you up. This is kind of like the loading bay area here. He takes you up a small flight of stairs and into a back hall. He says, well, if you'll just follow me, there's a few staff rooms back here, but that's not really part of the tour. If you just follow me, we'll just head through our local exhibit and reconnoiter back here, and we'll head straight to our secondary exhibit. And sure enough, he leads you on through a very nice, posh, well-lit, and upscale little exhibit before taking you into the main hallway, in which you once again see many crates and half-built displays amongst here. Now, I know last week as well, Al wanted to also kind of case out this joint security while we're doing the tour. I'll wait for Squee to get on the camera and wait for the tour to finish, and I'll kind of have you guys roll a few skill checks, and I'll kind of let you know what the security for the building and the exhibits themselves is like as well. But sure enough, past the half-built exhibit of the Great War, entering these large double doors, above the door itself is this wonderful black sign with this bold white lettering that says, "The Wonders of Volcanic Rock." Yes. And sure enough, Hugo Montoya opens the door, and the first thing that you see is in the middle of this large room is what appears to be an extraordinary large-scale version of a volcano. This is easily 10 feet tall and perhaps 10 to 15 feet wide, and it dominates the entire center of the building. In addition, you're not too sure exactly what it's made of just from a distance, but it resembles pocked rock and collections of sediment all around this volcano itself. And interestingly enough, there appears to be almost a man-sized tunnel in the center of the volcano, as if someone could actually enter through it itself. Fr- f- Someone is super excited.
Ellie's just like shaking.
Hugo Montoyas allows everyone to enter the room first. As he says, as you can see, this is kind of the pride of the antiquarian and a large donation from the Velda City Science Foundation. A life-size, well, not quite life-size, but a scaled replica of an active volcano. If I'll give a small tour around the perimeter of our exhibit before allowing you to delve inside the volcano itself, he says. And alongside this entire building are many glass cases and glass displays of what appears to be sedimentary rock, other sorts of geological information, and mineral displays. Now, I guess the question is, for those who are really excited, what Hugo Montoya's plans on doing is to kind of take everyone around the perimeter of the exhibit itself, talking about the sedimentary rock and the mineral displays and what's found and how volcanoes work, and then take people literally through the volcano. I guess the only question is for the super excited people in the group, looks at Ellie,
Not naming any names.
would they be patient enough
No.
for this 20-minute talk? Okay,
No.
that's what I thought. That's fine.
Ellie will be like, yes. And then, like, as he's, like, walking to do his speech, she'll just go in the volcano.
Okay. Frank's right by you because you're his niece. So are you going to just kind of, like, peel away from the group and, like, disappear inside the volcano?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right. I would like you now. Hugo Montoya, during this entire time, is happily chatting away about, how volcanoes operate and the type of sediment it creates, and etc., and the mineral rocks that are found in the area, etc., 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 etc. And you guys have a relatively large group, and he is distracted with his tour. And you can see actually from time to time, he takes what appears to be like cue cards out from the center of from an inside pocket in his jacket, and he's like reviewing them as he's doing so. So I'd like you to do kind of a prowl check to sneak away, split away from the group. You're going to have Frank with you. So interestingly enough, that's a bit of a penalty, because he is not the most quiet person in the world. He's intoxicated and he's in very loud clothing. But on the other hand, Hugo Montoya is himself the only person who would maybe frown at this, is also distracted. So I'm going to just have those two factors cancel themselves out. And I'll have you just roll a straight prowl check and let me know how much you succeed or fail by.
Okay. I succeed.
Oh, you succeed by a whole lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Is anyone else going to want to peel away from the group at this time, or a little bit later on in this volcano exhibit?
That depends. We walked through the Great War exhibit. How set up is that?
Okay. Thanks. I didn't really go into a lot of detail. It appears to be partially set up. Many glass cases haven't been completely built up yet, but you can see at least about not 5 or 6, exactly 6 crates are actually opened up, and you can see a variety of uniforms and a couple large weapons that have been unpacked from these boxes. That you recognize a couple rifles, in addition to something that looks like a very large, clunky, water-cooled machine gun. It doesn't look loaded. However, you can see authentic ammunition in another crate next to it, which has also been unpacked.
11 would be way more interested in that stuff and would probably try and get away to just go back and look at the Great War stuff.
Okay, okay. Once again, Hugo Montoya is distracted, and the bulk of the group is still with him. So I'd like you to make a proud check, but I'd like you to make it easier by 15, because he's distracted, and you don't have Frank Patterson attached to you. Okay, you succeed. So you also peel away from the group without Hugo Montoya's immediately noticing. Um, with all due respect, I don't think you guys, as players, or maybe as characters, Patrick might, but as players, I don't think you guys really give a shit about like literal rocks. So I'm going to say, kind of, he he takes the bulk of the group around that little tour, and I'm going to just quickly switch to Lavin and to Milan and Frank Patterson. But before I do that, Patrick, Tom, is there anything? Are you gonna just go along with the group itself? Is there anything you want to do? Any questions? Anything like that?
That other guy's here too.
That other. Oh, or Al.
Al actually would seem interested, but the opposite of Ellie, he would be listening to, like, interested in what the guy has to say.
Okay, excellent. All right. This, I might give you a knowledge bonus and stuff if you pay attention.
Volcanoes.
Yeah, no, Patrick would probably do the exact same thing. Where he would actually just be interested in new knowledge and things like that.
Cool, great. Just, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I didn't study geology, so I actually don't know that much about rocks. So we're gonna just have to narratively go.
Sedimentary, am I right, guys?
Guy
First
named
the
that's
dinosaur.
fine.
volcanoes.
Now this.
Tom,
I know. I'm a fucking hack. Yeah, Tom.
Tom would not be that interested, but would still go with the majority of the group.
All right. Yeah, no blanks with you, Alicia. Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's honestly more interested in the local exhibit.
Okay. All right. Well, we will be getting to that in detail soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Lavin first. Lavin, you thankfully or or whatever, peel yourself away from the group and head back into the main exhibit. And you can see to your right, the main entrance itself is the doors have been shut and locked, and sure enough, a large closed sign is hanging in the window. In addition to other windows, you see the regular posters. But the day before, when you came in, you saw at least 6 or 7 swarthy men unpacking these crates, in which now things are completely empty. You can see the door moving to the main office is also opened, as is the door to the local exhibit is open, since you just passed through there. In addition, the theater doors appeared to be closed and also locked by there's a little locked bar in front of the doors themselves. What you see as poking, I'm assuming you're going to just kind of poke through and examine what's already out in display from the crates, right?
Yeah, I mean, just the idea of a great war, I think, would be very interesting to Lavin, or so the
Okay.
Anyway.
You know what? Why don't you just roll? This isn't really a skill, but I like a D100 roll. And I'm going to, based on the results of that roll, I'll let you know how much Lavin absorbs in the amount of time he's away from the group. Sound good? Okay, 83. No, that's okay. That's not horrible. You're just not going to get a lot of information before you're corralled back in with the group. From what you can decipher by looking through these uniforms and looking through these weapons, and you do see a couple plaques that have recently been made, but they're kind of put aside in one corner. They're supposed to go with some displays, and this is the gist that you get. It looks like maybe about 30 or 40 years ago, by the styles of the clothes and the guns that you have compared to what's in the contemporary time, there was a really big war with, if you count the uniforms and the different styles of uniforms, maybe about 4 or 5 different countries or so. It looks like they just completely beat the shit out of each other. They dug holes in the ground called trenches, and apparently near the end of the war there was these massive things called tanks. But what you know as a tank, which is a large weapon of war, and what these things are is incredibly different. The only thing that's similar is that they're made out of metal and they have big tracks on them. The rest of it is completely different. And you're pretty sure a group called the Entente won the war. And that's all the information that you can get before Hugo kind of takes a look around the room. And as he gets around towards near the end by the entrance again, he kind of sees you in the Great War exhibit, and he politely but firmly says, "Oh, over here, over here. It's best that everyone sticks together, sir, since this is a informal tour. You understand?"
Yeah, I cooperate.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Now, do you have any questions for me, Lavin, as to the information I gave you, or are you groovy?
No, that's good.
Okay, great. Oh, one last bit of information. Do you have any sort of heavy weapon, like a heavy conventional weapon, or even, well, maybe not energy weapon, but what are your weapon for proficiencies out of curiosity?
Energy rifle, energy pistol, bolt action rifle, sword, knife, and heavy energy weapon.
Okay.
So mostly energy weapons.
With the exception of that bolt rifle, though, you feel like that large machine gun thing, you wouldn't know how to operate. It looks far too complex to feed, but you feel that you could fire one of those rifles, no problem. It's a simple bolt action. Yeah, that seems very familiar to you.
Okay, I'm not looking to pilfer anything if that's where
No.
we're going with this. Okay.
No. Just as far as weaponry goes, I'm just trying to illustrate what's familiar to you and what's not familiar to you. That's all.
Gotcha.
Besides, you have plenty of weapons back at the Rhapsody as well. Oh, shit! That reminds me. Did anyone come packing with a weapon to this thing, or no?
Nah.
Nope.
I have a blade in my arm, I think.
Yes, you still have a blade. Yes, you still have a robotic arm. I have a blade in my arm, I think.
Al would have his med kit with sharp.
Okay, all right, no, that counts as a weapon. No, I just like to think. I just can't wait for Lavin to unsheath this blade, and it's like posies or something that comes out of that. I'm just like, fuck you. Anyway. All right, so that's Lavin. But sure enough, okay, so Ellie sneaks into the central crawl space inside, not crawl space, but the center tunnel in the volcano itself. And it's this large archway. And as you go inside the volcano with Frank quickly in tow, you can see it's actually quite impressive. The inside of the tunnel actually has these large glass displays on either side of the tunnel itself. And in them is what appears to be this bright fluid that represents magma kind of flowing through. You don't actually feel any radiant heat, so it's not real lava, but it's a replicant liquid that is being fed through the volcano itself to kind of show how magma begins to swell up inside a volcano. And so this bright liquid kind of lights the inside of the volcano, so you can see yourself and you can see your Frank quite clearly. And you can see all sorts of plaques and labels talking about how the inside of a volcano works. And you look, there's a kind of a fake chute going to the top of the volcano that you can see on the ceiling. And as you sneak in, Frank moves his head very close to yours, and you can still smell that whiskey very, very strong in his breath. He says, "Okay, ruse part 1 finished. Where's ruse part 2? We need to."
Ellie's like, she's putting her finger up to her lips, and she's like, "You gotta be quiet."
And he pauses for a moment, takes deep breaths, and during those few moments, you can hear Hugo Montoya's happily rattling on about the fossil that was found, and etc. etc. And he kind of looks at you, and he doesn't say anything.
Elia is then gonna. Are the walls? Do they look like still pocked and like?
Yeah. What if
Volcanic?
any area that isn't surrounded by that glass case still looks, pocked, rock-like type of thing? Yes.
And she's gonna go up and feel the surface.
You feel the surface, and it is very, very rough, but it's clearly not rock. It's probably painted plaster.
Aw.
By the feel of it.
She frowns a little bit.
What's the matter? Says Frank, swaying on his feet.
This isn't real.
Of course not. It's a display. Besides, these hacks at the antiquarian, and you see him spit on one of the glass cabinets, and he says, would know what was real if it sat on their head.
Oh, I don't know. I'm more of a learn by feeling and looking and touching and like I can't. These are words. This isn't helping me.
You want real, Frank says in seriousness. His eyes glitter a little bit. You're in the wrong place. The antiquarian is fake, you understand? It's a facade.
But it's real enough to have that statue.
Any place can have statues. You know, there are people here whose faces aren't really their faces.
Ah?
Yes, the Mackenzies, Angus and Rose.
What
Fake
do you mean?
to the core. They're not real. They're not substantial. They don't know anything about history or art. They pick these things up like it's a part of their collection. They don't care about real history. This is just a big wooden toy to them. It's
Why do you
fake.
think
They
that?
don't have Valdez. Well, because I've been in this town, he says. Who do you think I've been worried about? The Mackenzies are exactly the type of people who would want, and then he points at his chest. You understand?
Huh.
Low people. Low people, he says, while whiskey on his breath. Yeah.
Well, I still was excited. She gives the plaster a final pat.
I understand what you mean, though, fake niece. You want something that, like you said, you can touch, you can understand, something that is, in your hand, which is why, he says, which is why it's very important we relieve the statue, the bull, from this fake wooden place. Yeah, they wouldn't miss it. They wouldn't even know what to do with it. Oh, those hacks. Ugh.
Well, let's get back into character. You mostly got it with the fake niece. But let's see if we can find that statue then.
We have to listen to that man prattle. Oh, my
Try
goodness.
humming stuff in your head. That's what I do when I get bored. There
I'm
was
not
a
bored.
little
He says I'm
Spanish
angry.
What?
I'm
Why are
angry.
you angry?
I'm not bored. Because when I was a quarter of that man's age, I knew twice of what he knew. I'm
But-
only doing this for out of respect for you for not correcting every third thing he says. While we've been talking, he's mislabeled 3 pieces of sediment.
So you're angry because he's telling the wrong information to people.
Yes, but the problem is he doesn't even know it. There are deceivers. There are many. He pauses for a moment, like gets close to your head again. He says, "There are many deceivers in this world, but he is just stupid."
Well, you could always correct him. And that way he can tell the people the next time they go through the right stuff.
He pauses. He says, "Okay."
Cool, let's go.
Okay.
He'll return back to the group.
All right. Those of you who are with the group, and soon after Lavin rejoins, you see Ellie and Frank Patterson emerge from the tunnel of the volcano. And it to quite a bit of aplomb, since Frank says, "Mr. What was your name again?" He says, looking over towards Hugo Montoyas. And Hugo Montoyas, yeah, go
Ellie's
ahead.
gonna lean over and say, "You gotta disguise your voice. Do it like mine."
"Mr. What's your name?" Frank Patterson says in this really strange southern accent. And Mr. Montoyas looks nervously. He says, "Montoyas, Mr. Montoyas, you, sir, do not appear nearly as informed as you think you are. You don't know anything about volcanoes, do you?" And Hugo Montoyas kind of gives a bit of a stir and stands up straight. He looks towards Frank Patterson. He goes, "Excuse me, sir. I don't know where you're from, but that's an incredibly rude accusation." And he takes a bit of a sniff in the air. He says, Are you inebriated?"
He's my uncle.
"Yes, but a family relation or not, young man. Are you intoxicated, sir?" And in which Frank Patterson says, "Liquid courage. I suggest you. I suggest you try it."
Very good, very good.
At this point, Hugo Montes looks towards the individuals who hired him for this little tour: Tom, Al, Ellie, Patrick, Lavin, and he clears his throat and he says, "Yes." He smiles to the rest of the NPCs and the small group he has. He goes, "If you can excuse me for just one moment, I'd just like to have a private word with some of your bosses here," he says, as he looks towards Lavin, Tom, and Patrick, and Al, and Ellie. And then he says, "Could we speak in my office for a moment, please?"
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. And he's going to lead you to his office. Are you okay with that?
I'm
This is
okay with
Hugo,
that.
right? Sorry, I just got back. It's Hugo.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. What's up, Spiral?
This is Hugo asking us to go to his office?
Yeah, Hugo Montoya.
Yeah, sure. I'll cooperate.
Sure. All right, he leads you to the office, and he kind of closes the door behind you, and he says, "You put me in a bit of a bind here." He says, "I understood that this was a professional business type tour, yes?"
Yes, of course.
Well, I don't want to be rude or forthcoming, but your uncle,
Works
what does
for
he do
me.
for you? Okay, but he's clearly drunk.
Right. We work at a bar.
Oh dear, he says. "Well, I'm concerned that he might stumble into one of our displays or detract away from the tour. Is there any way that you can maybe take him home and we can continue on with the tour without him?"
Well, he was really excited to be here.
"Well, if he was so excited, then why did he become intoxicated?"
Well, he's kind of what's the word? My aunt just sort of left him and he's not doing so hot.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Can Lavin, like, I just want to reach in I'm assuming it's like an inner coat pocket and reach in and feel the weight on what's left of this the Mickey I had? Like, I thought he just had a pull on it. Why is he so drunk?
Because he was pre-gaming.
That's exactly it. He was pre-gaming before he got there. He had before you picked him up, he had a little whiskey on his breath.
Okay.
There might be a reason why he needed to, he might not have just been nervous. There might have been a second reason why he had to steady himself on you and Ellie.
I gotcha. As long as it's not my
Yeah.
fault, no, that's fine. Go
What
on.
if-
Yeah, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
What
Well,
if I
in
take
the
him?
large scheme of things, it might be your fault because you asked him if he ever heard of liquid courage. But in this immediate moment, it's not your fault.
What
that's-
if what if we take him out and I'll get him all nice and sobered up for you? He really does want to be here. He's just sort of, grieving.
Actually, if it makes you feel better, we can call your bosses and assure them right now that we will pay for any damages, if there are any, of course.
Oh, and then you see him, you see him fluster a little bit, and he looks towards the clock. He says, "Well, it's not the question about payment of damages. You understand that some of these are antiques. If he fell into our dinosaur display, for example, we can't just go down to the Polly Molly and purchase another dinosaur display. Some of these things are absolutely priceless, you understand, and I can't risk any sort of damage for that." He says, as for taking him out to sober him up, that might do well, he says as he once again glances towards the clock, although I wouldn't be able to delay the tour until he returns to us in a clearer state of mind. I would have to just keep going, you understand.
Oh yeah, no, I completely understand. He's my responsibility, so I can sober him up with the help of my friend Tom. Ellie looks over at Tom.
What the hell am I supposed to do?
You're good at sobering people up, aren't you?
And he's...
Yeah, okay.
Because alcohol's flammable, right? Is that what you're getting at?
I don't get it.
Oh,
You
God.
know, you're a young fella who likes to party. I'm not saying you have a problem. I'm just saying I've seen you intoxicated the most out of the group of us.
That's right, you damn drunk.
What?
You drink. You drink alcohol. I do too, so that's why I'm the next best one. But not as much as you. You drink a lot.
No, I don't. I mean, I drink every once in a while, but...
Al.
It says, as Hugo Montoya very, very nervously clears his throat while you're having this very open conversation in front of him.
Yes, come on, Tom. Let's go take my uncle out.
Okay.
Al's in really close to Tom, and
No, you do what you're gonna do first.
and whisper, "I think she's trying to get you away from him." And he'll very quickly glance at the tour guide.
But I wanted to look at the local exhibit. But okay, I'll go. It's fine.
Hey, I'm gonna give you a GM spoiler. You're still gonna be able to see the local exhibit.
Okay.
Okay.
Just from maybe a different angle.
Okay.
From
Then,
the
yeah,
bottom of a
let's go.
glass.
From the bottom of a
From
glass.
the inside of a prison cell.
You alcoholic, you.
Yay. How is Tom an alcoholic?
Tom drinks.
I don't understand this.
Tom drinks out of the most in the group.
What?
I will. Yeah.
Of Lavin.
Well, Levin.
Lavin does.
shit.
Levin's been chuckling like this entire time.
Who came to this museum with the Tom? Who came to this museum
Okay,
with
so Ellie's gonna get outside with Tom. She's gonna look at him and say, "I forgot about Lavin." She'll slap her forehead.
Okay.
Okay. So with that, that's fine. This is even better. It'll be a fun Ellie, Frank, and Tom adventure.
Okay.
But so Hugo and Toyas, as you guys get that straight, he says, yes, all right, that's more than fine. He says, I trust we'll go back, collect your uncle, and I trust that you and your young friend here can escort him back the way we came, and I'll stick with the bulk of the group. I can trust you to do that. Yes? He looks over towards Ellie.
Oh, abso-positively.
Good, good. You remember the route that we took? And he'll actually leave the office with you, and he'll point towards the local exhibit. If you just go through those doors, take a right, then you'll find our loading bay in which you can get to your vehicle or where else you need to go to freshen your uncle up. And he gives almost a sympathetic look. He goes, I understand. My father left me when I was very young too. I understand how difficult that is on a family, but there is still such a thing as local decor and security around our building. I'm pretty much in charge here now, so things would not be good if anything got damaged.
No, I completely understand. You've been more than helpful. Thank you. Come on, Tom, you alcoholic. She still hasn't realized Lavin exists. I'm playing character.
I don't like this insinuation you're giving me, Ellie.
Well, we could talk about my perception later, but right now I need you to help sober up my uncle, so come on.
Okay.
Talk about...
So with that, Hugo will, with the rest of the group, return back to the volcano exhibit, in which Ellie and Tom will bundle Frank up, and with Hugo's directions, you can start leading your way through the local exhibit itself. While Lavin, Patrick, and Al rejoin the rest of the group with Hugo Montoya so he can continue his tour. He'll look to each of you and he says, do we have any questions? Sorry, now I'm separating the main group from the Tom, Ellie, Frank group. Okay. So
Yes,
to the main group, Hugo Montoya says, after Tom and Ellie and Frank are well on their way, he asks, do we have any further questions about this exhibit? Would you like to take a few moments to examine anything on your own? Or would you like to join me and I can give you a bit of a sneak peek, a sneak preview in regards to our main exhibit, the Great War? And once again, Hugo Montoya seems to be back into his regular swing of things and much more relaxed now that Frank Patterson is being escorted away.
Are there any volcanoes around here?
No. That's an excellent question, he says, young man. And in this particular area by Velda City, there are no volcanoes. However, far to the east, in the states of Washington and California, there have been known to be some dormant ones.
This is not a place for a volcano exhibit. Go ahead, Al.
Al would say, so, I mean, are you saying that there are people that live around, not here in this area, but somewhere around these things?
Yes, he says. Well, as you might have recalled from my little tour, my little lecture, is that volcanoes are not always active. This large display is a replication of an active volcano, but some lie dormant for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and they're no different than a small mountain range.
But do we know when they're not going to be dormant?
No, he says. Not exactly.
So, why do they live there?
Hugo Montoya kind of gives a shrug, and he says, maybe the land is cheap.
Al's like kind of like at a loss for words. He's like, you just spent 20 minutes showing us how destructive these things can be, and that
they can be, yes.
Even the dormant ones may not be dormant tomorrow, but they still live there.
Yes, he says, but a volcano doesn't just explode off the get-go. There are a variety of warning signs, gases that erupt before the actual lava starts pouring. So if anyone had to evacuate the area, they could do so very easily before any sort of destruction would happen and the loss of life.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as they don't blow up and surprise people, then I suppose that's fine.
No,
Sure.
no. This is
Surely
a
this
long,
is-
steady process.
This is not your first experience of people making poor decisions, is this?
Well, poor decisions is one thing. Sitting under a mountain that could explode with liquid rock is. This is my first time experiencing that kind of poor decision.
Excellent. Well, let me take you to the Great War exhibit, he says, as he starts leaning towards there. And these questions and the time it takes to answer them were very applicable, my friends. So so Tom and Ellie begin to lead Frank, who is a little confused what's going on and still unsteady on his feet, but he goes along with you. And you cross through the Velda City Legends exhibit and get to the hallway, in which Frank then stops. He says, Okay, now what?
Frank, I've been told
Yes.
that you're a little bit too drunk.
I have a lot of courage in me, yes.
Frank, Tom and I are gonna get some of that courage out of you. You need to try some of
No.
your.
He says, What? No. We're here. We're separated, right? This was a part of the plan, yes?
No, you're ruining
Mhm.
the plan. You're ruining the plan, Frank.
How am I ruining the plan?
Because you're being too belligerent. You gotta. I said
You
when I.
s-
when
You
I-
said you
Mm.
said to correct him.
Mr. Frank, please do not interrupt me. That is quite rude. And sorry, I don't know why I said it like that, but crazy.
That's okay.
Um,
Frank Patterson looks towards Tom before looking back at Ellie.
He's just fucking shrugging.
I wanted you to teach him so that, but like you're not. Have you ever heard the saying, you get more flies with vinegar than you do honey? Wait, Tom, is that right? That doesn't sound right, does it?
Tom then turns to her, still shrugging.
Well, anyway, you gotta be nicer. And I think that I don't think you're a happy drunk, Frank. I think you might be a not so happy drunk. And if you can't take this statue hunting seriously, then we've already lost.
Frank Patterson, a little bit queasy on his feet, and he replies and says, I understand, but I was told that I was here for an important mission. Yes?
Yes.
We need to acquire the statue. Yes?
Yes.
Well, what I'm saying right now, this very moment, is in that next room. He points to the door that you just exited through into the local exhibit. Is the bull statue. I say while they're distracted, we grab it up.
What? Frank, so you're saying I'm sorry, could you put on the map which room? The local exhibit?
Yeah, you're here
Uh-huh.
in this red arrow,
Yeah.
and this is the exhibit. He's saying just around the corner is the bull statue, and you should go in there and steal it.
Ellie's gonna is this a door then right here?
Yeah, that's a door. Yeah. This is a
Ellie's
door.
gonna push the door open. So you're saying that it's right in here, and she'll point to this corner of the room.
And he says, yes.
She looks over in the corner of the room.
Sure enough, you look through, and it appears to be in a small nook with a big sign that says local artists. And you see a few paintings, a few sculptures, and sure enough, on a white little platform with a little glass case around it, sure enough, is what appears to be Oh, wait. I'll just drag it on over. Actually, I'll just take the picture and drag it on over here. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
Make our lives a little bit easy. Where is the bull? There's the bull. There he is. Right in that corner. But there's no. You look at it at a glance, and you do notice that there is definitely a bull statue there. Something seems a little bit off at it, but you're just taking a glance at it. You're not moving over to examine it just yet. So.
Oh.
But yeah, it's in this little elevated glass case.
Ellie's gonna say, "Well, I'll be damned," and she's gonna walk over and take a closer look at it.
As Tom, you hear Ellie say, "I'll be damned," and walk out of the room. As Frank looks over towards Tom and gives the eyebrow waggle at him.
He's gonna give Frank a thumbs up and follow Ellie. But as soon as he gets into the room, I'm gonna want to look for any kind of security, like cameras or anything like that.
You definitely. That is adorable. No, and extremely in character too, because you're from a world where there are cameras and fucking microphones and shit like that, right? So yeah, it makes sense that you would look for them. Do you have any sort of skill that you'd like to use to uncover or find these things?
Give me a second.
You can still do this without it, but I want to see if there's if we can use a skill too. If not, then it's no big deal. I'll still have you do a skill check.
The closest thing would be basic electronics, so I would say no.
No.
Yeah.
All right, roll me D100, please.
13.
Okay. All right. You take a quick look, scan around the room, and you don't see any cameras, any video cameras. And you don't see anything that resembles any sort of alarm either. All you can see, the only security that you can see is that on all these cases there seems to be a lock, a physical lock that looks like requires a key to unlock it, so you can unlatch the glass case from the stand that it's sitting on. That's about it, and a glass barrier. And it's not just the bowl display, but any other thing that's in a cased display. It looks like it's just locked.
Okay.
Mila heads towards where the bowl, and as you move towards that area as well, and now that you're in the local exhibit kind of looking around, I'll also give you a heads up what else is there. There's a musician corner in which you see a few instruments, a guitar that was owned by a local musician, a flute, some history of of an orchestra that used to play in Velda City that was internationally popular. An artist corner, which you're currently at, where the bull statue is, that also, like I said, had some paintings and some other statuettes from local artists. And sure enough, where the bull statue is, there is a little plaque that says that the bull statue was made by a gentleman, a local artist named Eugene Neal, who unfortunately suffered a tragic fate, but his work lives on in this beautiful preserved statue. Not preserved statue, just this beautiful statue. And meanwhile, when you get closer, you notice something for sure. You saw the pictures that Frank Patterson showed you about these statues that were built, and this one is missing its tail. I know there's a tail in the photo, but pretend there isn't a tail there.
I can suspend my disbelief.
Okay, good.
Ellie is gonna point that out to Frank. Hey, Frank, take a look at this.
Frankel stumbles over, and he sees that. He points towards that, and he goes, "Yeah, that's the statue. Snakes in the grass. They removed an integral part. They know what it's about."
Do you
Wow.
have any idea where they would put it?
No, he says, but there's no point taking it right now. It would serve no purpose until we find this tail. We need to find out where they got this from, who bought it. Because I have a feeling the person who acquired this removed the tail. Or the person they got it from removed the tail.
Okay.
I shall ask
Oh,
him.
no. Hold on. Ellie's gonna grab
Yeah.
Frank by the shoulder.
Yes. Okay. He only
well-
takes one step before he managed to grab him.
She's gonna be like, Frank, you're gonna either walk out with me or I'm carrying you. We gotta get you sober and then you can ask him, but you gotta be more discreet. They can't know why we're here, otherwise it'll seem too obvious.
You're right. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've been in the realm of espionage. I was an adventurer and also a recluse, he says. Let us go, he says, and clean me up.
Okay.
As you're gonna escort him to the back parking lot
Yes.
with okay. So, and Tom, are you gonna come with, or are you gonna stay in this local exhibit for a while longer?
I kind of want to stay because this is all real interesting stuff. But
Okay.
you know what?
You can. I mean, you control your character. Mm-hmm.
I can just visit another time. So I'll head to the parking lot with the rest of them.
Okie dokie. Okie dokie. I head to the parking lot. Now I'm gonna pause you guys for a moment and get back to the main group. Sure enough. For next, I'm going to say approximately 30 minutes or so. Hugo Montoyes will kind of give you guys a sneak preview and breakdown of the main exhibit of the Great War. He goes into some historical detail, but what his main thrust is, for lack of a better word, is talking about, what the exhibit will look like when it's finally pieced together. And you can tell this is definitely, like his baby that he's creating type of thing. Like I said, he'll be going through this for about 30 minutes or so. I won't get into any sort of great detail, but is there anything that the players who are currently on the tour or in this building right now, is there anything you want to know or you want to do during these 30 minutes? Any questions for me, in or out of character? Anything in regards to that?
I'll just
Mhm.
remark that when they go through the Great War exhibit,
Mhm.
almost like with the volcano, will be like, but why did they stand in trenches though? Like Al not knowing
Got
the technology of the time, it makes no sense to him.
Need cover from fire, obviously.
But
Exactly.
they would be slaughtered by the thousands.
Not if they're in trenches.
And Al would be like, so they just get out of the trench, charge the other trench, and die. And then
That part, admittedly, stupid. Difficult to move forward. Agreed.
See, now Hugo wouldn't say stupid. He would use words like tragic and a horrible waste of human life, and thankfully it's the only war. It's the biggest war, and it'll be the last war. It will be the war to end all wars. After this, humanity will understand the how much destruction that was wrought, and it won't be repeated again.
Al would quietly say to Lavin, if they keep fighting like that, it really would be the last war.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, surely it wasn't.
No, obviously.
I think Lavin's primary interest, and I'm not going to get into specifics, would be in tactics and logistics with the war.
Oh, cool.
Relevant to that because, how do they manage things? Because he was involved in some military activity in Ishpeming, I would think. So that would interest him.
For sure. And Hugo will be able to answer that. Not anything with a great amount of specifics, unfortunately, because it's not on his cue cards. But the man, compared to the volcano thing, in which he was kind of going along. You can tell that this man was passionate around this period of time. So although the information isn't incredibly detailed, it's said with much more confidence than the previous tour that he did of the volcano exhibit.
Yeah,
But you get a little bit of insight.
Even without detail, I think it would still be interesting. Even just like summary, general knowledge of how it worked would still be interesting. Anyway.
All right. Is it okay if I switch back to the folks outside?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, we're gonna switch back and forth because the next exhibit he's going to take you in is the local exhibit. But before we do that, I'm going to deal with the trio here. So you get back to the back parking lot with Frank. What do you want to do with him?
All right. Now, have you guys seen The Princess Bride? 'Cause that's the only
watched
thing
it
I can think of.
yesterday.
Oh, did you really? That's awesome. I'm a human being with a heart, so yes, I have.
I like good things.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking something along those lines.
Well, you gotta give me specific. like what? Are they gonna kill him and bring him back?
The
to
hot,
Miracle
the
Man?
hot and
No,
cold
the
water
water.
barrels, you know?
the water
With
barrels.
the head? Yeah, I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Oh, with
Thank you.
fucking
Yeah.
Wunk.
Fantastic.
The water buckets where it's like he's drunk and so he has like one hot, isn't it one hot, one cold, and then he just keeps going back and forth
Yeah,
between.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Unfortunately, you don't see any water barrels nearby.
Tom, I'm running out of ideas. Do you have anything?
Are there any diners nearby?
That is a excellent question. Give me 2 moments.
They might have water barrels.
That diner will have water.
Well, I was thinking that if there is a diner, just use the more updated method of just opening his mouth and pouring hot coffee down his mouth.
There is a small, what appears to be, yeah, I guess you would say it's a diner. It's a small, quaint restaurant. Down across the street from the parking lot that you're in, down a block or so, you do see a big sign that of a restaurant called the River Chimney.
Hmm.
Oh.
Let's go and get him sobered up the best way that I know how, which is just giving him coffee until he's good.
See, Tom, this is why I brought you. You're full of good ideas.
You were also
As
calling
you
me
are
a drunk.
Yes.
As you are congratulating Tom, Frank Patterson begins to make his way around the outside of the building. He kind of wanders away from you and starts heading, like, he's still, like, he's not wandering into traffic or anything like that, but he's like, he's about to move around the corner of the outside of the antiquarian.
Frank.
Yeah.
Ellie's gonna run towards him.
What?
Frank, we're
What?
gonna get
I'm
you.
assuming Tom's following.
We're gonna get you all cleaned up. So come with us.
Oh, no. Perfect opportunity, he
What?
says.
Frank, what?
Looking around, I think you wait. Just listen to me for a moment, okay? I know, listen, I've been alone in a large building before. I know how that is, okay? I think that man is the only one in there. There's no other staff, right?
Okay. Sure.
Ask yourself, why is that? Hmm?
Well, we just assumed that he wanted the money for himself.
Okay. Second follow-up question. He's currently leading a tour with the rest of all your friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's distracted, right?
Yes.
Perfect time for us now. I don't know if you noticed, but in that volcano room, there was an emergency exit in case of fires. All these buildings used to have them, you see, right?
Right.
So we're going to go around the building. We're going to go through that exit door. We're going to sneak in. We're going to go into his office, and we're going to find out where they got that statue from.
But why don't we just Why
Mm,
don't we just ask him where it was donated from?
because he might lie. Or he might be stupid. Maybe both.
Can we at least get you so you're not falling over every 3 seconds and then we can sneak in and do that?
How about this? He says,
Ellie's going to
You
kind of
are-
tap him.
yeah. Oh, he turns around and actually looks towards you now while he's talking. You were right. I am not a stupid man. I am intoxicated because this entire world is terrifying. You understand? I have one of the most precious things, rarest things in this entire world on my person. And every shadow that I see, every person down the street is someone who could take it and snatch away from me. I don't care if I die. I care that the transmundane will fall once again into evil, cruel, manipulative hands. So, my suggestion is this. You're right. I am becoming a liability. I'm not stupid. So, if you promise that you will sneak in and look in the office for anything that might provide any sort of clue, I will stay here out of sight. I'll stay in your vehicle, your automobile. I'll stay nice and tight, and if anyone comes that scares me, I'll honk the horn. Okay?
Don't honk the horn. Just hide in
Okay.
there and don't talk to anyone. Don't speak to anyone.
Wait,
Don't look at anyone.
I'll just hide.
Yes.
Yes. Hide me in the trunk. Put me in the trunk with the transmundane, and I will be fine.
Okay, fine. Ellie will go around and she'll pat. She doesn't have the keys. I don't have the keys.
That's okay. There's a little lever inside the vehicle that lets you open the trunk.
Oh, sweet man. This time, very trusting, very trusting. Ellie will open up the lever.
Okay. Yeah, the trunk pops open. With the exception of what appears to be a spare tire in there, sure enough, Frank Patterson gets inside. Close the door behind him.
Yep, she'll close it.
Okay. He says, good. And you hear a muffled thank you inside the trunk. So, with Frank tucked away safely, what would you and Tom like to do now?
Ellie will look at Tom and say, well, shall we?
Are we actually gonna try and break in?
I mean, I don't know if it's so much breaking in as in opening a few doors.
A very subtle distinction.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Okay.
I mean, technically, you're allowed inside the museum. You paid for it. You're just moving away from the group and snooping.
Now,
Yeah.
I know what I've
We're
already
just opening-
established that I'm stupid.
We're not breaking in. We're just opening locked doors.
So the question is, do you want to go to the X side of the building towards these emergency exits that Frank Patterson was talking about, which is right here? Or do you want to enter back through the loading area and try to sneak through inside that way?
I guess hang on, let me look at the map. What's the shorter destination to the office?
Well, destination is pretty much the same thing. Okay, I'll let you know the two options. What's going on? If you go from the exterior, the pros to this is that you'll be able to get to the office through this door and through this door.
Oh.
Through this door, this entranceway. Well, what this actually is just like a little window that you could hop through without anybody seeing you. So
Okay.
it's a stealthier approach. The challenge is getting this door open. You don't know if it's locked or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the pros and cons. The pros and cons of going back through the door is there's absolutely no locked doors, and you can get into this office no problem. The door's still open when you were last talking in there with Hugo Montoya's, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the con is depending where they're on their tour, you might have to sneak past this main exhibit in between, the crates and the half displays and sneak through to the main office. So the pro is that it's easy to get to, but you might get caught. Whereas the other one is it might be a little bit harder to get to, but the likelihood of being caught is very low.
Let's try this store then, if you agree with that, Tom. Tom?
He went AFK, so he told you to make the decision.
Oh, did he?
It's all you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I missed that.
You're
Wow.
in charge.
Okay, Tom.
You're
Scary
in charge
thought,
of
but
you.
you're in charge.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. You make your way around the back of the building. You follow along the walls of the building, and sure enough, you come across you and Tom, who's now in NPC mode for a very few seconds, make it to the emergency exit. What appears to be two emergency exits. One's a little bit larger from another. In fact, one looks like an emergency exit that a person goes through, and one looks like a secondary double door loading doors, like something that they would move exhibits through or something like that.
Okay.
Not as large as the loading bay doors where that truck was, but a little bit bigger than your standard door as well. Both of them appear to be locks, and both of them appear to need keys to get through. I'll give you, as the GM though, you have a few options. You can try to pick the lock, or you could try to break the lock, or you could just try to force the door open.
Let me take a look at my skills, because I don't think I have anything that would really help me in this scenario. Okay.
Sorry about that.
That is his thinking noise. Okay, that's fine.
So,
Tonight.
could I possibly melt said lock?
Yes, you most
Ooh.
certainly could. Whether it'll open the door or not is yet to be discovered, but you could definitely melt it for sure.
It's not an MDC lock, but it's the 30s.
No. Shut up,
Surely
use the tour.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
No, I'm just teasing you.
No, I know. It's fine. It's fine.
No, it's not an MDC lock. Tom will be able to melt it, no problem. Do you want to melt like a very small hole through the lock through the door, and that will probably just break it all, and you'd be able to open it up no problem? Is that the idea, or do you want to melt the entire lock unit? Like, what do you want to burn, my friend?
Well, actually, I have a question, because this will flavor how I decide this. Would Tom understand the rotary door handle pushes a pin and you open the door like that, or is he more used to like the spaceship kind of locks that open and doors that open and shut sideways and that kind of thing?
Well, interesting. Back on Rift's Earth, you were familiar with both. Electronic locks were common in some areas, but the tumbler lock, for lack of a better word, was just as common too. The low tech and the high tech was. So now, would you know about the precise interior mechanisms though? I think that would require at least some sort of lock picking skill for you to have that knowledge. You would know that a key goes in, you twist the key, that undoes a latch, and then the door opens up pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that would be. Don't you think that's fair to the extent
Yeah,
of your
that's fair.
knowledge? Okay. All right.
Then the idea would be, maybe we should just try and force it. But I was kind of thinking like maybe melting it might be an idea, because melting is really weird for this time period, and if we were to have Tom melt any other locks, say to the office and to the actual statue, then it would seem really strange.
Yeah, I think instead of brute force seems like anyone could do it. When you're talking about melting, then someone's going to be like, they would have to figure out how that happened,
Yeah.
Brute force seems more like, oh, well, it had to
Obvious.
obviously be
Anyone
someone...
could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'm going to try and focus on the actual handle itself, because he knows he can twist the handle and it'll do something. So maybe melting the handle or around that area might be able to open the door.
Weaken it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna weaken the metal around the handle to break it off, pretty much.
Yeah,
Is that the idea?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What kind of psychic power do you want to use for that to melt the metal? It is SDC.
Let's go with Firebolt.
Oh, God. All right. So you pretty much like concentrate a firebolt in the metal area around the handle itself. Okay. You do that, and you see for a moment the metal begin to buckle and bubble just a little bit before settling down. It's definitely the area around the handle is definitely weakened now as a structure. Do you want to start wailing on it, pulling on it, or what do you want to do now?
I'll step aside for Ellie to do that.
Oh, Mila?
Yeah.
Ellie?
Yeah,
Oh,
give a
God.
just a nice firm pull.
Oh boy. Yep. You have augmented strength. This is like Lavin and his goddamn robot arm. You pull the handle, and you break the handle, and you definitely hear a clunk inside the door as well. And sure enough, a few moments later, the door is kind of slowly swings open, like completely loose, and the locking mechanism, and in fact, the same mechanism that kind of keeps the door shut in its frame has also been broken off by that hearty pull, and the door is open. And sure enough, it leads you to a very, very small entranceway before you get back into the volcano exhibit.
All right.
Yeah, so you're here. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Ellie's
And
gonna.
far in the distance at this point, you can hear three distinct voices: one of Hugo Montoya's, one of Al, and one of Lavin, and they seem to be talking something about trenches and people dying.
Okay. Ellie's gonna do like hand signals for Tom to follow.
Tom doesn't understand hand signals.
She's basically just kind of like waving her hands in front of your face. I don't think she does either. And then she'll start like hunched over, walking over to the door to
All right,
the
Tom.
office.
Tom will just try and mimic her.
Yeah. Sure. You start heading towards past the rock displays to this entranceway into the office. And as I mentioned before, it's actually kind of a bit of a hole in the wall. It's not an actual door itself. It's what it is. It's a view window, right? From the office into the exhibit, so whoever's in the office can look at the exhibit, make sure everything's a-okay. Interestingly enough, there is no actual glass window in the way. It is literally just a hall. You just need to stealthily crawl through the window itself. And doing so would just require a prowl check.
Okay.
If you want to do anything to give yourself a better modifier, all the better.
No, I think Ellie's just
Yeah.
gonna hunch over, and I'm thinking
Okay.
like Metal Gear Solid style, like.
Oh, just jump through it, and
Yeah.
then have a nice soft roll landing on the other end. Okay,
Yeah,
roll it.
I made it.
Yeah, you Metal Gear Solid it.
I'll try and do the same.
Okay. Oh my God! Please roll a 100
8!
or an 8.
Oh,
Oh man, Tom shows you
damn.
up. He sticks
Anything
that
you can
landing
do, I can do
way
better.
there. Yeah, exactly.
Hang on. Ellie's gonna stand up, kind of go nice, and then she does a backflip.
Roll another prowl check. Make sure the thumps of you landing back on your feet aren't. Okay, yeah, you're fine. You land very. Damn it!
Oh.
I almost got her, guys.
Almost.
Tom will just stare daggers into you because he still remembers, and he knows that you remember that one time he tried to backflip and failed epically. Actually, no, every time I've ever tried to backflip, I've gotten over 98.
Yeah, that's
Every time.
It's not good.
that's the humor.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Now-
we're in the office.
I'm gonna pause for a moment with you in the office because I said they're gonna be spending about 30 minutes with the Great War thing, and it's been less than 30 minutes now. But I kind of feel I don't want to leave the guys completely out of the loop, right? Is there any other information that you would like to know? Like even if you're kind of casing the joint for security, any questions you might have for me? Poor Patrick, you've been pretty quiet. Is there anything you want to do at this point, or anything you wanted to do up to this point that I kind of talked over? Anything with that that you guys
would
would
like to try to take a group photo, but also make sure that when I do such things, that the person that is taking the tour is in there, and sneakily maybe in another room or background that there's like a clock that might be in view.
Oh,
just to
okay.
show
So you want to
time.
make sure there's when you take the group photo, make sure Hugo Montoya's is there, along with one of the wall clocks that are amongst the museum is also in frame.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. He he does keep kind of looking at the clock as far as keeping time or whatnot. Let's just say the tour group right now, the party members that are with the tour group, they might have to kind of convince him a little bit to be like, yeah, come on, can we take a few minutes, get away from the tour, and take a bit of a photo here? Who would like to try to do that bit of convincing?
I'm fine, or if Lavin wants to.
I don't think Lavin would be conscientious.
The
enough
convincing
of
type
that.
of guy. Yeah,
Well, not
or
only that, but
conscient.
like I don't think he'd understand what you were trying to do. So I think I'd be too oblivious to do that convincing.
Okay. Al would at some point, maybe like after or in between an exhibit, Al would say, "This is amazing. How many people come to the museum on a daily basis?"
Oh, on a daily basis, our average foot traffic is approximately 120 people, although on the weekends that does increase to sometimes 200 souls coming on through.
That's it. I mean, more people don't come.
Well, he says that's how it is. We're hoping to drum up business, which is one of the reasons why I accepted this little private tour. Anything to continue the education of people of all ages.
I agree. We need to find a way to. I mean, this is fascinating. Well, okay. I'll tell you what. Our bar has no less than 200 or 300 people a night. If we had a way to advertise this, to talk about it, to bring it up in a story and conversation, I bet we could drive loads of people here. Patrick, do you think we could do like a group picture? All of us together with you as a tour guide, and then we could put it up on the wall in our bar and use it as a conversation piece. Look at this. This was great.
I
Oh,
don't see why not.
So Al, with that little bit of preamble, although Hugo might be a little still kind of resistant, kind of keep on looking at the clock type of thing, what I'd like you to do is you have a way to evoke trust. That's one of your abilities due to your high MA score, either trust or intimidate, right? You're kind of trusting him that, you want to invoke some trust that you're trying to, help his business out, right? I see the base is 75 on your character sheet. I like you to increase that, but by that way of convincing him, that was very good role playing. I'll up that by 10%. So roll a D100. If you get 85 or lower, we'll see how he responds.
I rolled 7.
You rolled a 7.
So
okay.
I succeeded by 70.
All right. So not only did you succeed very well. So now Patrick, as to your goal, because Alex succeeded so well, pretty much Hugo is willing to take as many shots as needed and as many locations as needed. You've really convinced him this is a great idea, and his eyes kind of glimmer at this idea of some cross promotion and getting more people into the antiquarian, right?
Mhm.
So I'm not, as a GM, I'm not 100% sure what you're going for with making sure him and the clock is there. But if there's any other factors that's going to help you accomplish this goal that you have of taking his photo, let me know and we can work that in too.
Absolutely. I'm assuming that the main exhibit is not finished yet.
Correct. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. It's
I
still
want to
being
make sure
mhm.
that this is actually framed so the time is
Oh
very
my God.
blatant of where
Oh,
we
now
are.
I know what you're doing.
Hmm.
Now I know what you're doing. You're fucking blackmailing him.
Yeah, I saw that right away as soon as you said the time. It's like we're hearing like the thing at like 2 a.m. or whatever, right?
No,
Like
it's
really
like
late.
five.
It's
Yeah.
5:30. Yeah, an hour and a half after it's closed. Yeah.
Point
yeah.
being after it's closed, right?
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
we're not supposed to be
Um,
here. But yeah,
Yeah,
And
we're all
just
thinking that
having like
it's a really good idea.
boxes or like things not set up and things then set up at least makes a timeline.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we'll say 3 photos. He's good to stand for 3 photos with everyone. You're going to get clock in each photos. You're going to get one maybe by the main entrance where it's clear that there's like a close sign there and everything like that. Another one with like you said, a partially unpacked thing from the Great War. And the other one showing that, I don't know, like an empty display case that has yet to be filled, right? Something really showing that he's taking this group while it's closed in areas of the museum that haven't even been set up yet.
Mm.
Is that good? That makes you happy?
Yep.
Sweet. And we don't need to role play that. We're going to just say you accomplish your goals. Hugo Montoya's completely unaware of your ruse, plays along and is, after that encounter with the drunk Frank Patterson, it kind of put him off kilter, but this has really enamored himself back to the group again, this whole idea. Okay. Anything else you want to do with him in the main exhibit? Because then I'm going to switch to the folks in the museum office, and then I'll switch back to you guys going through the local exhibit. Groovy?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So, clever guys. All right. So now in the museum office, the Nimbly Bimbly, Tom and Ellie are there. As I mentioned before, when you first entered, but once again, this was a couple weeks ago, I'll refresh your mind. The museum office is actually 4 smaller offices. One belonging to a fellow named Angus Mackenzie, one that says museum curator on there. Another one that says art director Rose Mackenzie. You see one Hugo Montoya's floor manager office. In addition, you also see an office for a chief of security by James Barnes, kind of a chief of security. In addition to these 4 small square offices in there, the 2 other major, I guess you could say, features are here in this particular room. One is actually right here where you kind of see this kind of boxy type thing. You see a huge, beautiful painting of what appears to be a slightly older couple that, and a little placard underneath of it says that this is Angus and Rose Mackenzie, the owners of the antiquarian. In addition, you might see here in this museum office, all along this back wall where you see this little line here, shows is a line of filing cabinets just filled with papers. In addition, oft in between Hugo's office and the security office, you see what appears to be a small room, and once you investigate, it looks like it's a small vault that's packed away in here as well. In addition, there's one other room other than leading to the main exhibit, which appears to be, if you poke your heads in real quick, is clearly a workshop. What many staff members use to build displays or construct displays, or it looks like when they make their plaques and their signs, they make it in this little workshop here. So there's a variety of tools and drills and hammers and screwdrivers and plaques, both finished and unfinished, and that sort of thing. So where would you guys like to go, you and Tom? What would you like to do? And if there's anything else you need from me to help inform your decision.
I'm thinking we look in the vault.
Interesting. We
You
could
don't
probably
think
try
so?
and do that. No, we can definitely try and do that. I was thinking maybe looking somewhere else first, but vault, let's do it.
Okay.
All right, you head towards the small the little vault, the little safe, but you do notice that the vault door is closed. Now, by the way, you guys both succeeded so well in your prowl checks. We're going to say now, while you're moving in this office, you're just being as quiet as can be and not arousing any suspicion.
Yeah.
What it appears, it's not as large as the little underground vault that you have underneath the Rhapsody. It appears to be maybe half that size, but the design is very similar. It looks like there's this large wheel lock in the center of it. It appears to require a small number combination dialed in to the safe itself before it opens. However, it seems to be at least the front of the vault itself seems to also be made of a pretty thick metal. Yeah.
Ellie.
Hmm.
Ellie looks at Tom.
Oh, you want me to melt it again?
I mean, why not? We already got this far.
Sure. And this time, you know what? Another firebolt at the actual tumbler.
Or at the tumbler itself. Okay.
Yeah. Because, I mean, again, I don't think he has any kind of, like, thieving skills that would be applicable to this. So that's the
Luckily,
obvious
you have
thing.
fire. You have literal fire at your fingertips. Now, in this case, my friend, I would like you to, not only when you burn the ISP to do this, but I'd like you to roll the SDC damage that firebolt's going to do.
Okay. Let's go with the medium firebolt.
Okay.
It's going to be 2 ISP either way, but
All right.
let's dial back the damage a little bit. Right. Yeah. 17 SDC.
Okay. There's a flash of white light that emanates from your fingertips, and it hits the tumbler in front of the vault, square on. And you see it melt a little bit, and you see it sag slightly, but it appears the core of the metal itself is still unmelted. This is much thicker metal and much better designed than that flimsy emergency door. But you do see that your fire did have some effect. It might require a bit more melting.
Okay. If that's the case, I'll do another even smaller one, a mini bolt.
Okay.
For 2d6.
Okay.
And let's burn the ISP again. And let's do this. 8.
Excellent job, Tom. Excellent job. Your intuition to take a slightly smaller bolt was spot on, because if you know this now, seeing the result, a smaller flame hits that tumbler, and it just melts the core of it enough that, and the tumbler itself sags some, that you hear a small click inside the vault door. But the tumbler, the big dial in front of it, doesn't fall off. It doesn't break. It just, you can tell it looks askew. It's melted. It's tilted down below a little bit, but still firmly on the door. At a quick glance, it would appear that it's still completely intact. However, if you put too much flame on this, you're quite certain you would have melted the entire tumbler completely off. Or hell, you might have burned a hole right through the door itself. Now this, and Mila can confirm by wiggling open the door, the vault door is now open, but the tumbler itself is not damaged beyond repair.
Ooh.
Yeah, and cosmetically, it looks like no one really has messed with it, right? Not that much, at least.
Good
not
job,
that much.
Tom.
What he
Damn.
did, he needed to get 25 SDC, and he hit it right on the fucking nose with that.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. So with that, the door, it can be opened. I'm assuming you do so.
Now we'll leave it. I'm kidding.
Okay, time to go.
Bye, guys.
Give me a small moment here. Give me just. Okay. All right. You open up this the vault door, and it enters you into a small 5 foot by 5 foot, but 10 foot tall, little small micro vault room, in which there are, along the right side of the vault, appears to be these small little shelves. And in these shelves, it appears to be stacks of bills of money. In addition, there's a small table by these little shelves that have large bags of what appears to be some sort of coin inside of it. There is quite a bit of money. And maybe perhaps later on you would confer with your companions and, after all, Al did ask how many people come through or whatnot. And perhaps if you recall this amount of money, it is way more than, 120 people paying $1 each to get into the antiquarian would do, right? There is a lot of cash here. This looks like it's been built up over quite a bit of time. That is on the right side of the vault. Along the left side of the vault appears to be a series of gently stacked paintings. Several of them, you don't really recognize the artists or whatnot, but the way they're sealed and protected implies that they're extremely valuable. And along the back of the wall itself is two things that kind of stand out. One is a small metal box, no bigger than a ring case, a case for a ring. And on another one is a similar box, but it looks like very long and wide, something that you would put maybe like a flute or something in it. Both of them are sealed, and both of them are carefully pushed against the back of the vault door, also on a little tiny ledge. In addition, in between these two little cases along the back of the vault door appears to be several letters of correspondence, written in hand, not like by typewriter, but handwritten letters.
Ellie looks over at Tom.
Well, I reckon that the stuff at the back is what we're probably here for. Why don't you try and open the boxes while I take a look at the letters?
Okay.
Okay.
Okie dokie. We will do, since it'll take longer to read than to open up the cases, we'll do the cases first. Ellie, what cases do you want to open up? Do you want to open up the ring case, or do you want to open up the flute case, for lack of a better word?
I want to try the ring case first.
Okay. You open up the ring case, and sure enough, there appears to be inside of it not an actual ring itself, but a ring-shaped emblem. And on it appears, it seems to be almost like a disc made of pure silver. It has that kind of silvery gray color in this black and white world. And on it is what appears to be the silhouette of a rabbit's head on it. And if you flip the coin over, you can see a motto that says, that simply says, honorary member of the Order of the Lapine. And Lapine as in rabbit.
I'm sorry, what did you just say? Lapine as in...
Rabbit.
Rabbit.
Oh, rabbits. She'll look at it and just kind of keep it in her hand and head over to the other box.
Okay. Oh, wait, so you're keeping that in your hand?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. You open up the other box, and it appears to be the tail of a bull statue.
She makes that noise.
You found it?
I found it.
Good. Grab both of those, and I think I'll take a look at these letters, and I think that's all we really need, unless you want to grab a few coins on the way out.
No, that seems morally wrong. I've justified this in my head, but I don't think I could justify that.
I mean, we're stealing, so sure.
For the greater good. What do those say?
What do they
well, now
say?
here's the big question. There appears to be about 20 to 25 pages of correspondence here. Do you want to take the time to read every single sentence of every letter, or do you want to kind of just skim over it and see any sort of words that pop out or anything like that?
Definitely skim. Definitely.
Okay. As you skim the letters, a few words pop out. Some that set off some alarms for you. One is that a lot of the speech sounds very shadowy and foreboding. Language such as, we've entrusted upon you, our highest members, of the importance of this task. You see other words saying, Eugene Neal will never be forgotten. Things must stay protected. Things must stay secret. You see the word Angus and Rose Mackenzie. In fact, many of these letters are addressed to Angus and Rose Mackenzie as well. It talks about codes in newspapers. There is something about the number 14 over and over again. And in one of the letters, there's a reference to something called the transmundane.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally fucking stealing this.
Exactly. Now, this is just you skimming it, right? There's much more details in these letters, but you said skim it, so I'm just telling you the words that pop out right now.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if it's good enough to take. I'm taking this.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Excellent. Now you've bundled the two small cases with the bull's tail and the silver, I'll say the little silver disc, and the letters with you. Now what do you guys want to do?
Okay.
Let's head back. Oh, yeah. Are we talking in character?
No, I'm just... Should we just head back to the car? Or should we possibly wait in the...
Want to exit?
Do we want to wait in the volcano stuff until these guys leave the exhibits and all of that, and then go and steal the statue as well? Or no?
The only problem with that is it's going to be super obvious that we're the ones who did it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I gotta shut up. David, you're not playing in this game.
Wait.
No
Wait.
Tribute.
Wait, no. Maybe we can blame my uncle. I don't think that guy recognized Frank.
Hmm.
We can just say my uncle went missing. We left him outside, and we were just gonna go grab him some coffee from the diner. Oh, Tom, that's perfect. You're brilliant. Okay, let's wait for them to pass, and then we'll go steal the thing.
Well, I mean, we can obviously come back later. It's just they're gonna know that people were here because of the melted lock.
Yeah, no, we gotta do it right away. There is no later anymore.
Yeah.
I hope
Okay.
the others are okay with this. At least that's like thinking about how they were just gonna gather information.
Yeah, but you're not. Well, actually, technically, you are psychic, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You're not that psychic. You can't.
Do we want to just
Sometimes.
put all this stuff in the
that's
car
right,
for
fuck.
now?
No, we should get the thing, and then we'll say that Frank's missing. We should really get the statue as soon as we can.
Okay.
Okay.
I
And
wonder if
so
there's a
they
way-
wait. Oh,
I wonder if there's a way to tell the rest of the group our plan.
Well,
Yeah.
someone does have psychic power.
can I see any of them? If I poke my
Well,
head.
If you sneak to the museum office door and peek around the corner, you'll be able to see. Okay, on a 1 will be Al, a 2 will be Lavin, a 3 will be Patrick. Okay, I'm gonna roll a 1d3.
Actually, gee.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Back in
What,
the older
Patrick?
episodes when we were buried in dirt, she didn't need to see us to do psychical powers.
Really? I thought I needed to see.
How
That's
is
a-
everybody?
That's an awfully authoritative accent you've adopted.
Ah.
I believe him. I'm inclined to believe him.
Like when you
Based
were
on-
when you were fighting the Max Carries?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that actually. Because I remember Tom was buried in dirt, and Ellie was trying to, or Mila was
because
trying
you knew
to.
where he was.
Yeah.
Well, generally. Oh yeah, and most of the time with psychic powers you need line of sight, but in that case I said no. You're right.
You can do it
Well-
either way. I'm just being a jerk.
God.
At this rate, I'm gonna start playing this like I remember, us just winning based on something. By the way,
No, it's okay. What's fair? Because typically with a psychic power, you need to know what brain it's going to, right? So I think with the mud, she knew
Oh.
Tom was under there, and she was able to estimate it. So if she can estimate where she thinks she knows where people are in the main exhibit, she'll be okay.
Wait a
I
minute.
heard you had a brain.
No, Ellie cannot do that.
Oh, yes, because of our rules. Okay, all right. Then it's a
Yeah.
moot point.
Yeah.
Then I guess all you can do is sneak up to one of them and say, like hide behind one of the crates, and as someone passes by, you go,
No, it's fine. We can just stealth and hide in the volcano.
Yeah.
oh yeah, you can hide in the volcano. Yeah. I was
Wait,
gonna
have
say
they
workshop. But yeah.
Have they gone through or have they finished the volcano part? Because the
Oh
volcano.
yeah, they're in the Great War right now.
Oh,
They're in
okay.
here.
Okay, good. So, okay, I thought, yeah, I was like, we'll hide in the volcano. The last part of the volcano tour they go to.
No, it was the last part of their volcano exhibit. They would go through the volcano itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I glossed over that part. Okay, so once again, you guys rolled really well. So you once again, cat-like, nimbly bimbly, even with the items in your hand, goes whoosh, through that little window there, and you hide inside the volcano, listening to hear when the voices get quiet or something like that. Are you waiting for everyone to like leave the building? Is that the idea before you go? You're going to go in?
I think
That
yes.
might be an idea.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. You guys can hear what's going on, and especially Ellie, because she has excellent hearing. I'm going to just move back to the main group and go through the exhibit and all that good stuff, and we'll be good. Square, are you back yet? Nope. Okay, whatever. He'll
Pooping.
pick up while we go. Yeah. He's pooping. Great. classy. All right, but Spiral and Patrick, you're still here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the photos have been taken. The last of the main exhibit is here. Oh, and Alice is back. Good, good, good. So Hugo Montoyas is ready to lead you folks to the final exhibit in the antiquarian, the Velda City Legends. Is everyone okay to continue on with that?
Yes.
Okay. And outside the Velda City Legends exhibit, before you actually enter through there, you see a wonderful big row of lights. And actually along this wall appears to be like a painting of the silhouette of the large skyscrapers of Velda City itself. And actually you can see inside all the little windows are these little tiny light bulbs that blink on and off, creating this wonderful little effect of the room lights of all these cities, blinking on and off and everything like that. And you enter through the Velda City Legends, and what I'm going to do is kind of change this up a little bit. Is Hugo Weaving will be taking you through all these exhibits. I'm going to just kind of mention these exhibits, and why don't you tell me what your characters would be interested in, and then I can go into some more detail. Sound fair?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. So the Velda City Legends sections are as follows. Musician's Corner, Artist Corner, and where you'll be able to see a bull statue. And similar to Tom and Mila, when you investigate, you'll notice that the tail isn't on the bull. The dinosaur specimen that was dug up in the area. A local information about a tribe that used to reside in the area known as the Sunni. And also an exhibit called The Dark Side of Velda City. And it involves profiles of some of the more sinister characters that used to live in Velda City, or perhaps even still do.
Only the
So
last one for Lavin.
Okay, last one for Lavin. Okie dokie.
Second to last one for Patrick.
The native.
Yep.
Okay, the native folks. Okay, yeah.
The last one for Al as well.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go with the Native American one, and then the Dark Side of Velda City. So the Sunni tribe, Patrick. Let's see what's some relevant information. They were believed to live in the Velda City area. Up to 50 years, not 50 years ago, 150 years ago. And the beginnings of their tribes might be 1,000 years previous. They were known to be excellent fishers, and unlike a lot of Native Americans who would travel around and have a more nomadic lifestyle, the Tsutsini were known to be were known to stay in one location. A lot of the exhibit shows their tribal dress, some fishing implements that were used doing so. In addition, there are also some small legends. Like many Native American tribes, they have their creation myths, except theirs is a little bit different. Theirs involve that it was the sea that birthed the Tsutsini, and apparently, according to their legends, the sea birthed another race, a race known as wait, let me check my notes here. The Keloth, also known as the Unclean Ones. Apparently, the Tsutsini spent a lot of times fighting these Unclean Ones, using a variety of holy good magic and conventional warfare. Hugo Ramirez remarks that most of this is probably very mythological. Probably the Unclean Ones were probably not actual supernatural problems or monsters that came from the sea, and it probably was another rival tribe that was fishing in the same sea that they were.
Can Lavin sort of remark to Patrick? It kind of sounds like those guys we ran into on that iceberg, where we went and killed their demon
bear.
boar, or what a demon. I don't remember what it was now.
Polar bear.
The demon polar bear, sure. Yes, that it sounds a lot like that. Anyway.
Patrick will already paying quite a bit of attention, has that sort of realization look and kind of nods to Lavin and looks at probably whatever sort of maybe headdress that he's been staring at even closer.
Oh, what we got here? Back. All right. There are a few other creation legends, but another major story that is shown in the display that is told by Hugo Montoyas is also during the founding of Velda City. They are pioneers from a land called England that came on by and settled down and started to create buildings. And at first, the Sunni were cooperating. They were partners with these pioneers. They taught them some of their fishing techniques, good places to go. But unfortunately, the resources from the sea become less and less and less. And as the pioneer population began to grow, the Sunni started to shrink due to disease and other such encounters. This created a resentment of the Sunni with the English pioneers, and the Sunni they were not a very violent people, and in fact, according to their legends, the only time they took up the spear and the bow was against these great unclean ones. And they didn't want to kill their fellow human beings. They didn't want to kill these English pioneers. So instead, they decided to leave. They left the area known as Velda's Rest, later becoming Velda City, but not before giving the leader of the pioneers, a man named Robert Bennett, the chief of the Sunni, warned him and said that their overfishing would corrupt the land and make them sick for so long that their children's 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 children will die. But not their bodies will perish, their souls will perish. They will be corrupted from the inside out. And after that warning, they left, and apparently they had never been seen again after they left. And Hugo Ramirez postulates that many anthropologists think that due to their nonviolent nature and the fact that they actually had to leave their home, they probably came across either another settler group or another Native American tribe and died. Or perhaps more peacefully, they amalgamated into it. Like they kind of married into another tribe. Yeah. Do you have any questions that you would have for Hugo Ramirez about that, or anything for me as a GM?
What sort of items are on display? Tapestries?
Sure. Interestingly enough, not a lot of stuff. And that's the other thing. There are a lot of pictures, a lot of depictions, artist depictions of what the Sunni chieftain would look like, the final goodbye with Robert Bennett, even some renditions of what the unclean ones look like according to the legends. There's no actual clothing, because most of that would have rotted away. However, they did manage to excavate some domestic tools. In addition, a lot of their fishing implements are still there. So we have fishing rods and fishing nets made out of hemp. There is metal bowls, spoons, cutlery, I guess you could say tools to split open clams and crab and to descale fish. And that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
I'm pretty
Okay.
good.
Okie dokie. On to the exhibit of the dark side of Veldis City. This is a surprisingly a little bit sensational um, part of the Veldis City legends, and definitely seedier. This involves individuals known to be on the wrong side of the law. Ever since the founding of Veldis City, or also known as Velda Rest, there's some profiles of local bandits that were in the area, infamous robber barons, that sort of thing. But the two most popular and most in depth profiles involve two people. One on the mobster known as George Hughes, but known more specifically as the Gin Baron, and another woman known as Two Strike Molly, who was known to have killed her whole family one dark, dreary night with a hatchet, giving them 2 strikes to the head as they slept. Would either of you like to would investigate more about George Hughes or Two Strike Molly?
George Hughes.
Yeah, more
Absolutely.
George
interested in
Hughes.
Gin Baron.
Okay. Sorry, I kind of feel I feel like the beginning of Starship Troopers. Would you like to know more?
Do your part.
Do your part. Okay. The um, the fellow name known as George Hughes was thought to be born in 1884 to a simple farming family just outside of Veldis City itself. It's unknown of why he took to the criminal life, but it's known that he took to it very quickly. When he was a teenager, he was a known delinquent and actually a known thief as well. He specified in stealing tobacco products and then reselling them down the way at a reduced price. Soon after, when Prohibition hit and the man was in his late 40s, early 50s, is when he was really, his name really rung out. Between the times when he was a teenager to a 50-year-old man, it was clear that he got himself involved in some organized crime rackets. More specifically, a criminal family known as the Maltese crime family. He became a soldier and later on a lieutenant for that criminal organization. When Prohibition hit, many members of the Maltese family would actually purchase their alcoholic beverages from out of state in other areas of the country where Prohibition did not hit. However, George Hughes decided to produce or make his own gin, bathtub gin. In fact, instead of simply spending the money that he received from his illegal sales, he will put it back into his organization, creating more and more and more facilities that created this bathtub gin. Sure enough, George Hughes was simply known as the Gin Baron and grew to be very popular in many areas of the city because not only was he providing an alcoholic service to all sorts of people who still wanted to drink, but from time to time he would actually give his product away for free. This would enable him to many members of the populace who would happily actually use their own homes, their own bathtubs, to brew some of George Hughes' gin for him. He practically created a franchise of illegal liquor inside Veldis City itself. And for every time the police would try to shut down one brewery or another speakeasy, two more would pipe up. George Hughes is also sometimes known not only as the Gin Baron, but the Hydra of Veldis City itself. For every one facility that would be struck down, two more would be put up in its place. Finally, however, the little profile on George Hughes kind of ends with the Prohibition era and with alcohol once again being legal. They say with that, with with alcohol now being legal for consumption again, the gin baron went legitimate. And then that's it. It doesn't say anything what happened to him. It says nothing about the Ferocious Five. It kind of just ends right then and there. Any questions in regards to that?
Is there anything about him having violent dealings or anything, basically anything other than the making of alcohol that would denote him as a criminal?
No. No, actually not at all. In addition, and which is probably why it's unlike many of the other members who are in this dark side of Veldis City who are murderers and bandits and whatnot, George Hughes is almost, well, the way it's written is he's almost put into almost like a favorable light. Like, oh, he's just a Veldis City scamp who, you know, he made gin in a time where gin was illegal, and he was pretty creative and innovative and all this other stuff.
Almost
Other
like a
than being a
Robin Hood.
thief, other than being a thief and a legal purveyor of an intoxicant, there's no show of him being like, yeah, and he was suspected in the murder of this person, or his roaming thugs beat up the street. Yeah, no.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah.
That's the only question I had.
Sure. Any other questions? Are we good to continue on?
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, in addition to, I don't know if you guys want to make a major note of this as well, the artist's corner, as I mentioned to the others, has some paintings and sculptures, and sure enough, you will all notice if you decide to take a look. Sure enough, there's that bull statue, but it is missing its tail, and it would simply describe it as a creation of Eugene Niels, who suffered a tragic death and is lived on by his work. And that's pretty much all the little placard says. My next idea scene is really just Hugo Ramirez wrapping things up in the parking lot and thanking you all for attending. Is there anything you guys want to do before that, before you guys get outside of the building?
Not me. No, I'm good.
Any basic assessment of security?
Oh, okay,
Assuming
sure.
there's no.
Oh,
I'm
crap.
assuming
Yeah.
there's no video cameras. based on
Yeah,
technology.
there's no video cameras. So I'm gonna have you guys do a kind of general D100 roll. Do you guys have any skills involving security or anything like that you'd like to use for this skill check to kind of case out the joint?
I most certainly do not.
Okay, that's okay. You don't need to. I mean, you still have eyes. You can still look around. It's not that difficult. Go ahead and, for those of you who are kind of casing this place out as well, roll me a D100.
Would I be too distracted? I think I'm going to say that my character's being pretty distracted, though I think
Sure.
I'd still give him like, I don't know, 10% or something like that.
All right,
The
roll
only
it.
skill I have applicable
Mhm.
is like concealment, which is like hiding something on self.
On your body, yeah. Roll it anyway.
The only skills I have that I think might be applicable is weapon systems, but that's a big stretch.
Yeah, okay.
Detect concealment and radio basic and scrambler.
Yeah. Okay, I'll keep those in mind with your roll, but I don't think we'll use those as your, detect security systems roll. That's okay. Oh my God.
And I
Okay,
was
this
busy
is
staring at the Great War spectacle.
No.
walls
This is
here.
what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do because Lavin's not stupid, but I think it makes sense that Lavin's perspective is a little skewed. You're still used to Rift's Earth, right? So when you're looking for security, Lavin, you're looking for security, right? Like cameras, wireless alarms, shit like that, right? Laser grids, things like that. And you don't find any, right? Patrick is a little too distracted in the displays and listening to Hugo Montoya's. Al, on the other hand, is one who has the strongest assessment of the security of this situation, and it is laughably low tech, which is no big surprise why Lavin overlooked it all because it's also basic. What you have are several entrances with key locks. You have many cases of displays of anything that's valuable in it that have key locks on them. And in the back, the front main entrance and the back entrance here, leading out from the storage into the, loading bay, are two very rudimentary alarms, which is pretty much when, if you imagine a door, how can I say this? It's like a brass, okay. Imagine a literal like fire alarm bell on a wall next to the door, right? And leading from that bell is a simple brass wire or thin wire that goes to the door itself. And when the alarm is set, a little connector is connected to that brass wire. So if someone opens the door then they're not allowed to, the wire breaks and the alarm goes off. Right? Does that make sense to anybody?
Yeah, almost like when someone puts a bell in front of the door to let them know when you open it, but to a greater extent.
Yes. To a greater extent where it's a brass wire that an electric current goes through, and if the electric current is broken, then the alarm goes off.
Got it.
Yeah, but this is something that is manually set from the inside. It is really rudimentary. So that's it. 2 alarm bells that are connected to the front and back doors. The cases that have locks on it, and the doors have locks on it. You would assume out. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, are there any windows?
No, with the exception of the windows of the front of the building, no.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And the only last thing of your little security assessment is the only way to prevent people from stealing stuff is you can only assume one of two things. People in the city are incredibly trusting and well-behaved, or there's physical security that walks around the museum. You don't see any physical security right now, but you do know, you've been in the museum offices, you do know there's a security manager. Maybe they were given the night off. Who knows? You know? So,
right. Yeah. Okay.
Okie dokie. All right. So with that, Hugo Ramirez, thanks everyone for watching. He answers a few more questions. By the way, I don't want to get too far into this, but August would definitely be asking some questions during this. Marla Stotch would definitely be asking some questions. Lee would ask a question or two, and so would Jalea and Yasmin. Alicia kind of keeps to herself a bit, but she seems really bored at the volcano exhibit. But she's mostly engaged at the Great War exhibit, and she keeps like gravitating towards that giant machine gun and like kind of checking it out and see what's like. And she like the only time she asks a question is asking about the weapon and how it's used and that sort of thing. Blink kind of seems nervous and alert, especially when Tom kind of leaves. She's kind of checking to see what's going on. She asks a few questions here and there. Bear is his normally very quiet, stoic self as well. Regardless, everyone once again is kind of funneled out outside. Hugo Ramirez gives this nice, simple, polite speech about how this was a mostly resounding success. He was very happy to become a tour guide with you once more. He hopes that you will spread word, kind of giving a little wink over towards Patrick about the antiquarian, let your friends know. And in fact, if they wanted to have another tour again, to contact him at the museum itself, and he'd be happy to keep it arranged. during this kind of final goodbye, or anything like that. I'm gonna pause, and I am gonna get to the sneaky Tom and Mila in a moment. But while he's kind of saying his goodbyes or anything like that, or wrapping things up, anything you guys, Lavin, Lavin, Al, or Patrick want to bring up?
No.
Okay.
I do have a quick question, actually. Something that just occurred to me when you were talking about the NPCs. Would Al and Jalea have had anything like this when they were kids? Like, were there museums in Chi-Town that they would have visited?
No.
I'm guessing no.
Oh God.
Dude,
Sorry,
They-
I'm only laughing
they-
because the only museum would be, this is Emperor Prozac and this is how amazing he is.
Yeah, and there would be no
like,
actual,
a
like-
propaganda.
dude, they don't like people.
No.
They don't like people like reading. They
I
don't
know,
like
yeah.
knowledge at all.
But I assumed that
No,
I thought
no,
maybe they would have attractions or somewhere you
Hold
could
up.
go to see exhibits of something.
I would like to make it really clear. The coalition doesn't hate reading or education. They want to control education.
Okay.
They want to control it. So no, they do not have any museums. No. I'm afraid
So
not.
it's very similar
That's a-
to the Republic of Dave.
Apollo 3. Yes. Is there Republic of Dave? Oh God, I forgot about that. But yeah. So, no, I didn't mean to laugh at you, Squee. That wasn't a dumb question. at all.
No.
I was
I
just laughing 'cause
expected.
I
Yeah.
was thinking of what a coalition museum would actually look like.
I'm on the same page with you. I was thinking might have a museum that was all propaganda or something, but I was curious of if there would be something like that. But if not, then
No, their propaganda is more old school with radio waves and people talking and just being raised in that mentality.
I think that at some point Al would have moved next to Jalea, and I mean he's. If I understand correctly, she's probably still had a pretty icy demeanor since their last conversation.
Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty good distraction though. So it's thought a bit for her. It's been
Okay.
She's thought a bit. Yeah.
Al at some point would go up and just like casually he'd say, "God, I wish I had some place like this when I was a kid. I would have thought it was fascinating."
Now, Julia simply would say, "I didn't even know places like this existed."
Al stops for a second. Yeah, I mean, the concept seems so simple, but yeah, I guess you're right.
She says it must be, poor ignorant Julia says, it must be unique to this place. This must be how people remember things.
Al would have to seriously consider that because he hasn't really come across many museums in his travels, and he came from the same background.
Tolkien had several museums and zoos.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Al.
Hey, it's my turn to remember something.
Hmm.
Hooray!
Can we
Al-
just label
Actually,
this
Squee.
episode people remember stuff and someone gets it wrong?
Al's gonna remember baby steps, and he'll say, "Well, if we ever find more like this, you want to go?"
Julia. No, and she says, "Yeah, okay, why not?"
And Al would nod. Not well, a useless gesture. Al would affirm his consent verbally.
By saying, "I don't know the words okay."
Yeah.
Affirmative.
I verbally confirm my assent.
I was just like,
I'm gonna
that
say that at
basically-
work. Next
I
time my
know.
boss tells me something, I'm gonna be like, I verbally confirm my assent.
I confirm that I want
It's
to
just
go
the
to
most
Kingdom
simple
of
thing that
Dave.
Al nods, and then I realized how useless that was, and it completely threw me off my game.
That's funny. That's funny. Good laugh. All right. All right. So while Hugo Montoya is saying his goodbyes and whatnot and leading people out of the local exhibit, we're gonna zoom back into Mila and Tom hiding out inside a volcano. Dun dun dun. Mila, for a while, Tom, you've heard the voices die off. But Mila, you can hear a few doors close, and the voices in the distance are very, very far away. So I think this is the time to emerge.
Mila emerges.
Yeah. Since it's been a little while, do you think I think it's fair to have you and Tom do another prowl check. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
You will get positive modifiers since Hugo Montoya's is very far away talking to folks. So you're going to have a bonus of 20 to your skill check.
Okay. Well, my max is 98 anyways, so.
Yeah, so just don't roll
Don't
a
get
99 or
100.
100,
Yeah.
kitten. Okay, good.
So, okay. Hang on.
I roll it.
There we go.
Okay.
Good.
We're just as stealthy.
Yeah.
Good. All right, you guys creep through there. Dun dun. Oh God, no! I drew lines. Door's still open. All right, the case is in front of you. Simple brass lock. It connects the glass top to the case itself. What do you do?
Ellie finger guns the lock, like, looks at Tom, goes pew pew.
This time I'm gonna try and be a bit more delicate. Instead, I would like to flame burst only my hand and slowly melt the lock.
Ooh, cool. All right, spend the ISP.
All right.
Tom, your hand becomes fire. It crackles, not an orange glow, but a bright white glow in your hand itself. As you slowly grasp the lock, you can feel the sensation of the metal begin to buckle and move and shift and become liquid in your grasp until it's nothing but a sizzling goo, and the lock itself practically evaporates in your hand. There is a few small scorch marks that press up against the cabinet itself and the glass, but otherwise everything else is untouched.
Perfect. So
Okay, now what do you do?
let's open the enclosure and grab the statue after extinguishing the fire.
Okay, you extinguish the fire, open up the case, you just hear a little look around, no alarms, no problems. And who picks up the statue?
I only have the pieces of paper, so I'll pick up the statue.
Okay, you pick up the statue. What do you do with the case once you pick it up? Do you leave it open? Do you close it?
Ellie will close it, or Tom will close it because he's the one touching it.
Yeah, we'll close it, and I think we should start making our way back out the volcano exhibit.
Yeah, the way we came in.
Yeah.
The way you came in. Okay, excellent. You, sure enough, creep your way back through the volcano exhibit and back through the broken emergency exit door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And you make your way back behind the building and you head back towards the parking lot, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can I say that she'll, like, stuff... I mean, how big is the statue? It's probably pretty...
Sorry, I guess I didn't describe the dimensions of the statue. The statue is approximately 1 foot long by about 8 inches wide. And it's about 10 inches tall.
All right. I don't think she'd have any wear on her person to hide it. What about Tom?
Not the dresses that she wears.
See,
No,
Tom
tight.
has this really neat suit on, so he's going to take off his suit jacket and hold the statue and put the jacket above it. Like drape
very
the
nice.
jacket over his arm while holding
hot
the
day.
statue. Yeah.
It's a hot day and we left that old man in the trunk of the car.
Yeah. He wanted to be.
Hope he's not dead. Okay, cool. Well,
Let's roll that 100. Let's do this.
All right, let's do this. 99?
oh no!
So close. Get so far.
He's just like passed out, seizuring, that kind of thing.
Okay. So you drape your jacket over top your arm with the statue on it, concealing it. And do you make your way to the parking lot?
Yeah.
And as you make your way to the corner of the building, you can hear Hugo kind of saying his goodbyes and the final comments in regards to that. Do you wait for him to re-enter the building, wait for his voice to go away, or do you just come around the corner while he's still talking?
Just wait for him.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's wait for him.
We're fugitives now.
Okay. You hang tight, and sure enough, with Lavin and Al and Patrick, Hugo kind of gives his final goodbyes and handshakes and everything like that, and he exits it back to the loading bay area. And sure enough, he loosens the chain and closes it up again and gives a final goodbye wave with a big gleaming smile, and closes it. At that point, is it fair to say that Tom and Ellie would emerge from around the corner of the building?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Ellie's walking very quickly.
Okay. And you reunite with the party. Is there anything you might want to role play with your fellow compatriots?
Ellie is gonna look nervously like at Tom and then back at the group and says, "Get in the car and just drive."
Just drive for like a few minutes, then let's pull over and get.
No, just go straight back to Frank's house. Come on, let's just
Okay,
go back to
all
Frank's
right.
house. He'll be fine.
Let's go.
Are we gonna leave Frank?
He's
Trust
in the
me.
trunk. Let's just go.
Right?
But
Let's go.
okay.
Let's get out of here.
I was just like, all right.
Heads up, Lavin had to leave. Kid
Yeah, that's fine.
aggro.
Kid aggro.
Child.
It is
Uh,
getting to around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. We're gonna wrap up with you guys leaving the scene of the very sudden crime.
Which half of the party doesn't have any particular clue of.
Yep.
So Tom and wait. Give me a heads up. I was just saying goodnight to Spiral. Did Tom and Ellie just say, "Get in the cars, we gotta go"? Kind of
Yes.
thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go.
You're
Let's
just-
go.
you're not gonna take Frank out of the trunk. You're gonna drive away with
No.
him in the trunk.
We're just gonna go straight to his house.
So yeah, I literally said that in character. It's just like we're just gonna leave him because I don't know where he is.
Trust me.
I did mention in character that he's in the trunk. Let's just go.
Go. Ellie's
Yeah, that's
like,
why
already,
I
like,
was-
in the car.
That's like I was
All right.
like, what? But okay.
All right. Okay, for the sake of simplicity, Alicia and Lavin are going to get in the other two vehicles, and they and the NPCs are going to head back towards the Rhapsody. And we're going to say Patrick gets in the Frank
Okay.
trunk vehicle, along with
I
Ellie
roll one.
and Tom and Al. Why do you want to kill Frank?
I'm just
Frank.
curious.
Just curious if you can kill him.
I'm
No,
just,
okay.
He's a trash man.
Just hold on a second.
Okay.
So, all right. So you drive away, you leave the city, you hook on, and actually, Patrick, I do want you to roll a driving check, D100. No
Okay.
penalties or bonuses. Okay, you roll really well. Okay, excellent.
Smooth driver.
Yeah, you are a smooth driver. That's fantastic. So you guys are going to be driving Frank back to his place, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, Patrick does so. No sudden stops, no big bumps or anything like that. And you pull up in front of Frank's townhouse. What do you guys do next?
Ellie she's gonna roll out of the car like
Okay.
Metal Gear Solid Snake style and just like hunched over walking to the back of Frank's house hiding or like
All right.
hiding.
Tom's
Okay,
just-
that's what Ellie's doing.
Tom's just gonna get out and tell Patrick to open the trunk.
Yeah, no, Patrick's already popping the trunk.
All right. Patrick pops the trunk, gets around back, and you see Frank there, snoring away, drool coming out of his mouth, like marking his finely groomed beard that Ellie did. He's using the spare tire as a pillow for his head. And he seems to be asleep or passed out.
Or dead. One of them.
Well, the drill is warm. The drill is warm, and he's breathing, and because you need to breathe in order to snore.
Patrick, if you please, wake him up, get him into his house.
Patrick looks over at him. You want me to carry him?
No, just shake him awake so that he can go and let us into his house so we can get this thing. And he's going to move his arm with the jacket still draped over it, and nobody else knows that the statue's there, so he can get this thing into his house.
No, we haven't said anything. Ellie hasn't said anything. She's just like, keep driving. I can't say anything until we're safely inside. Like, she's become as paranoid as Frank now.
So Patrick will get out his handy-dandy smelling salts that Milo always gets used on. Man, does he use
Put
that?
underneath Frank's nose.
Yeah.
All right, Frank wakes up with a complete start. His eyes fly open. He sits up so much that he actually bangs the back of his head on top of the roof of the trunk. Ah! What's
Frank,
going on? What's going on?
Frank, we're at your home.
And
We're at your home.
He like gives a startled surprise, and he like reaches at his chest and he feels underneath of his shirt, and like a look of relief hits his face. He goes, "Oh, okay, still there. Fellas, sleep got tired, very dark. Oh, wasn't alert. Almost lost a transmundane. My fault, but it's safe.
It's okay.
It's safe.
Frank?
Oh, back to my home.
Yes.
Home, he says, like, excitedly, as he, like, gets out of his trunk, and he looks to all of you. He's like, I can go back right now.
Yes, we need to go into your house right now.
And you've never seen an old man sprint before, but tonight he sure does, as he runs to the back of his own home and like pushes Ellie aside as he throws open his screen door, reaches for his keys and opens up his back door and leaves it open for you. But you see him, he like spreads out along his grimy well, no, you kind of cleaned it up a little bit. He spreads across slightly cleaned kitchen floor with all the pots and pans. He says, home safe. Can't control this environment. Oh, the world is too wild. Too many secrets out there. This is right. Oh, good job, friends. What did we learn? What did we do? Come on. Shut the door.
Frank.
I learned about the natives of the land before the...
Frank.
Oh,
Frank,
what?
I need something to drink if you don't mind.
Okay. Not the third closet on the second floor. Oh, yes. I
was out of character.
I know. Well, he says, yeah. He takes up a small metal pot. He heads over to his kitchen sink. He pours some water in the metal pot, and then he hands it over to Mila.
And while he does that, Al starts going, okay, so I took a look at the security features, and I don't think it'll be too hard
None
to
of
get
that
in there
matters,
if we need
Al.
to steal the...
None of it.
It doesn't matter.
You hold up.
Of course it matters.
What's in the closet of the floor of the third... What was that all about?
Nothing. Says Frank. Nothing. I was just thinking of liquids. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
First things first, where are the other two statues?
Frank says, well, I kept them safe. They're back upstairs. I kind of hide them away in the same compartment as my transmundane, he says, holding his chest.
Well, we're going to need to stuff this in there too, and he's going to pick up his jacket holding the bull statue.
But you guys do notice that the bull is still missing its tail.
Yeah.
And Ellie will hold up the tail.
Al just kind of like his mouth opens. All right. Did I miss the part of the meeting where we decided we were actually going to steal it today?
Yes.
Because I thought we were under the impression that we weren't specifically stated that we weren't going to steal that today.
Yeah, we stole other things too, Al.
Oh, also letters. Also, there's this ring or a coin or something.
Again, focus on one thing at a time.
We're fugitives,
Why?
Al. Because
Why?
we need it. It was right there.
Ellie told me
Frank
to.
I told him to, and he listened. No one ever listens to me. I'm not used to that. All that power. Ellie looks at her hand.
Al goes, all right. Well, it's possible we were going to have to steal it anyway. However, now they know we took it.
No.
No.
They would probably assume that we, and Ellie will point to herself, Frank and Tom, we took it. And they only know that we're from the Rhapsody. They don't know that we're in touch with Frank. Tom and I can hide out here and be fine.
What?
They would. They're still going to come to the Rhapsody looking for you, and if they don't find you, they could still hold the Rhapsody viable because we're all part of the Rhapsody.
Well,
no, the person responsible is the one who lied to his owners.
Okay.
No, hold on. They know that somebody with probably a torch broke in, because we broke in via one of the external doors, and everything we touched, we torched. So, it's something really odd and strange that people usually wouldn't think that people would be able to do. You know what I'm trying to get at?
Suppose.
But we were in the exhibit. The statue was there when we left.
Yes, it was there, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, we kind of took it 5 minutes after you.
Yeah. Huh.
All right. So, what happens if they do think that this is unusual and not something we could have done? You do realize that means the man who just gave us a tour will most likely go to jail.
Listen, I didn't say it was a good plan, but we got it. And check out these letters. Tom was saying that they talk about the transmundane.
Yeah.
That's great.
At that point, Frank's eyes light up like beacons.
They're in on it, Al. Don't you see? They know about it. Frank was right.
They, as in the owners of the museum, or the people who own the statue at some point in time?
They know it,
The
Al.
owners.
They know.
Huh.
The owners are supposedly a part of some kind of society. The honorary... Let me see that coin again.
Ellie will hand the coin over.
Yeah, see, honorary member of the Order of the Lapine.
Where did you find the coin?
In a vault?
Yeah, it was in a vault right next to the tail, right next to the letters.
Why would they separate the tail?
That's a good question.
Frank says, in case they ever lost the statue or someone took the statue. It was a safety precaution. The statues have to be whole in order to line up to find the golden rabbit. They were trying to prevent that. I had no idea that Angus and Rose were a part of this. I just thought they were horrible fake people. This explains a lot. This is why I told you. It could be anybody. They're all out there.
I'm gonna vomit.
Oh.
This is so scary.
Frank hands you another pot.
No, I mean, I'm so scared I'm gonna vomit. I don't know if I'm actually gonna vomit. But I want to.
Can Al take a quick visual assessment? Does she look like she's about to throw up?
I don't know. Ellie, are you?
She's holding her stomach, but she does. That's about it.
Okay. Al would hesitate, and he would say, if they're really a part of this, and they are as bad as you say, and he will look pointedly at Frank, then I guess getting it out of their hands as quickly as possible is a good thing.
Yeah.
Frank says, I've never heard of an Order of the Lapine, though. But they obviously are connected to the rabbit in some sense. That part is obvious.
Well, the other side of the coin has a rabbit. See?
Now, I don't know, he says. I can only think of two possible options. They're also looking for the golden rabbit, or they're trying to prevent other people from finding the golden rabbit.
I don't know.
Or they're in the possession of the golden rabbit.
It would have been... I can't believe I'm saying this. It would have been better if you had taken more stuff. That way they would know exactly what you got.
Oh, really? And he's gonna look over towards Ellie. Really now? It probably would have been better for us to take more things, right?
I told Tom not to. He listened to me again. Why did he do that?
Because I don't listen to you too often. Jeez.
It really meant a lot to me, even if it wasn't in our best interests. Ellie says, like, holding her hand to her heart.
Good.
Frank says, regardless, no point for blame. You did good work. You got another statue, and we've availed more clues. We should read through these notes, find exactly what they say. They could provide more clues. However, it is clear that what you did tonight, you might have poked a dangerous enemy. We've acted clearly against them, which means you need to all be very, very careful, especially when you lay your heads at night. You will never know when they strike. That's why I only sleep 30 minutes a day. You understand?
Ellie starts crying.
Al will sit up and say, okay, Frank, all joking aside, seriously, you need far more sleep than that. You are going to kill yourself.
I do sleep. Someone else is going to kill me.
That is very unlikely.
Someone pay attention to me!
Frank pays attention to his not niece.
Al will go over to Ellie and he'll say, I'm sorry if I was a bit
Judgy,
quick.
harsh.
Judgy. Yes. I'll say, you're not the first one that has changed the plan, and what you did could have been for the best. We don't know yet. So it's too soon to judge you in any way, shape, or form. Or quite possibly, you may have done the best thing without knowing it.
Thank you, I think.
I think you're welcome. So, if we've poked a bear that's going to come after us, will they come after us legally or not legally? Either way, I think we should be prepared. We should keep the statue
Either way,
here.
Frank says, it's going to be sneakily. They're not overt. They stay in the shadows.
We can't keep it at the Rhapsody. They're going to come looking for it. We need to be, at least on the appearance, completely clean. Free and clear.
Keep it with... he looks over to Tom. He says he wants me to keep it with the other statues in the transmundane. This place is safe. They haven't broached it yet.
And you'll have to, Al, look at Frank. Never wear that disguise again.
Okay.
We want as much as it looks
Can I
good
keep
on
the
you.
hair?
You hear that? He likes the hair.
Al
I
says,
kind of like the hair. It gets in,
yes.
gets in my eyes a little bit, but it's kind of neat.
The
Well,
basic
that doesn't
concept.
sound like fucking Frank. It's kind of neat.
It's kind of neat.
Al
like
says
it.
basically, Ellie's uncle has to completely disappear so that they never find him again. Instead, if they come looking, they just find Frank.
Ah, Frank Patterson, who's never left his house, says Frank with a knowing smile.
Al nods the recluse.
The shut-in. Yes, good. Good.
Also, try not to throw tangy death powder in their faces until it's absolutely necessary.
Frank nods. Tahiki death powder. That's me saying, giggling, not him. I think this is the perfect time to wrap it up because we can start next session examining notes and figure out what you guys want to do next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Groovy. Any last thing you want to bring up? Have any questions for folks before we wrap up the session?
No.
Patrick would want to know what Tahiki death powder is.
Oh. Frank said he could show you, but that you might die.
Al will just quite simply turn to Patrick and he'll say, I believe it's a type of sneezing powder he threw in Lavin's face.
Deadly sneezing powder. He's lucky I only gave him a small dose.
Al will wink at Patrick and go, right.
Patrick will take this all at face value.
Excellent.
As is his custom.
As is his custom. I will verbalize confirm the affirmative.
Subtlety, not part of Patrick's strong suits.
Well, that actually, I was about to say that those pictures might still play an important part. We'll see.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. But
Dun,
next time,
dun, dun.
next week.
See you guys next week on Riffs. And don't forget, we also have 3 Galaxies every Wednesday. Bye.
Daddy loves you.
By the way, Kriana, I did not. I know I talked over it, but I'm very happy that when you said just hum in your head, like there was a little Spanish
please.
like, yes. Interior, I was so proud of you. Exterior, I had to play in character.
Oh, fair enough.
Okay. Are we done? Did we log off?
Bye.
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 Are we